Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Monday morning edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, as we get ready to kick off another week on the program here, getting closer to that NFL draft, right about a month away now. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, my friend?
Doing well. Yeah. We're getting ready for the draft. I think we're going to turn the page there, sort of from free agency to the draft. You got the NFL meetings, the spring meetings. They'll be next week, so there'll be information coming out of there. But it's one of the few times with the basketball tournament going on where the NFL kind of takes a back seat, at least for like 10 minutes. They tried to steal it with flag football, but that didn't work. Thanks, Mike. Mike Rubin. And I should put, that's not the NFL. That's Fanatics. Michael Rubin. But,
yeah, right.
How'd
that guy get in on everything? I mean, that guy, he's like runs the sports world, man.
Rich, man. Just gets involved. Hey, if you're spreading around money, people will talk to you.
Exactly right, John. I did see it posted all over the place. Did you, John? I think I know the answer to this, and I'm sure our viewers know the answer to this before I even ask it. Did you spend any time watching the flag football?
I did not. I did see a couple clips. Did not surprise me. The NFL players got beat by the Team USA. Different game. Completely different game. And those guys obviously train. Flag football, for those who don't know, is going to be in the Olympics. I have no idea how it got in the Olympics, but, these are high-level guys playing, training like Olympians for a particular sport, and you got NFL guys who think they're going to kick off their shoes and just show up with no preparation and win. Don't get me wrong. If they practice, they would beat them, but they don't. And, the one team got crushed. Actually, the Jalen Hurts team, Eagles fans will be proud. They were much more competitive. But it should not surprise people that the Team USA won at all.
Yeah, that went on this weekend. There was some good clips for Eagle fans to get a little tease of Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith. Maybe, just maybe, everybody, your new wide receiver number 1 in Philly. We'll find out. I'm just kidding. I know everybody's not going to like
start. We're going to start right away.
No, we're not going down that road. I got some other topics I want to hit here in this opening segment. Johnny Mac. Well, it's good to see that. Some video of Jalen throwing the ball to Devontae Smith. Good stuff there. John, the other thing that happened in Eagle Land, we'll just get some quick updates. I do have a good topic I want to get to as well. We'll have Jeff Kerr on. We'll talk a little Jaylen Carter today. We'll do that. John, in the open here on Football Friday, me and you did a breaking news segment on the trade of Sidney Brown, Eagles' third-round draft pick in 2023, I believe. He's traded out of here to the Atlanta Falcons. Some people commented, Zander, did you have to get John to do this? I said, I wanted to cover it for everybody. Third-round pick gets traded out of here. I wanted to cover it. And then right when we got off the air, John, the Eagles added 2 safeties. So me and you have not had a chance to do it. 1, a familiar name in Marcus Epps, and 2, a special teams merchant in J.T. Gray. What do you make of those 2 additions, Johnny Mac, at safety for the Birds?
I'll start with J.T. Gray because Marcus Epps is the obvious one. I mean, he's the veteran guy to sort of settle things down, the draft proofing of the room, so to speak. So now you have somebody who can play if he has to play. I think the plan in-house before the draft, and they might obviously draft a safety that can compete, but in-house would be Michael Carter's moving there. Michael Carter's going to be, they're hoping he's going to be the safety next to Drew Makuba, and we'll see how that works out. Again, the draft can change all of that. But if not, Marcus Epps, as you saw late last season, can step in and still provide that steadiness. You'd prefer to be better and more athletic and all that kind of stuff, but at least he's not going to He's not going to embarrass you. So you have that back. And then JT Gray is, I don't even like, I hesitate to call him a safety. He's a safety because you have to give somebody a label.
Yeah, right.
Special teams player. And he's an all-pro and he's been 3 times in his career. He's one of the best gunners in the NFL. Now he is 30. He had been in New Orleans for his entire career, kind of bounced around to a bunch of different spots last year. So we'll see if he has something left. But, you know, one of the things with Sidney Brown is he was the gunner with Gailey Ringo, and he was a good one when he wasn't, you know, Chuck Norris and guys, rest Chuck Norris. But, you know, he was a good gunner. So you have to replace that part of it. You know, it kind of harkens back to Chip Kelly. In Chip Kelly's era, the Eagles used to sign 1 or 2 players to play special teams. And most notably, Chris Maragos, Brian Brayman guys, top tier special teams guys who were special teamers first. That's what JT Gray is. That might be what Stone Smart is at tight end.
Right.
So I think it's an interesting shift to bring in guys who are actually special teams players. And I think that's where JT Gray fits if he's going to fit.
I'm a fan, John, of trying to win on the margins in the NFL, doing anything you can. And special teams, I mean, you know, it's one of those things, John, where you don't think it's all that important until it ruins a game for you. So I like the idea of getting some guys in here. You know, it's funny, John, it feels like the last, 4 years, you tell me, you'd have a better feel for it. Feels like they got rid of like all their great special teams players. Remember, they had like some guys that were really good at it. Josh Jobe is a name that comes to mind. They had some guys that were really good at special teams. It felt like they all went. So to get a guy like JT Gray, I think is a good thing. I mean, I like to win on special teams too, John. All 3 phases, as they say. So I think it's a good signing for the Birds to bring in a guy like that, and we'll see if he makes the 53. That's another question. But
well, that's the hard part. It's tough to keep guys who only play special teams and can't help you elsewhere. But you know, my thought process from that is they've, you know, if you think back to the Maragos Brayman years, they've actually expanded the practice squad. It should be easier now to keep those guys because you can step like, all right, you don't want to cut. For an example, Mac McWilliams, because he's a draft pick. Like he wasn't relevant all year. He didn't play. You still have to have, you know, 6, 7, depending on your injury situations, inactive players each week. It's like that's built into the back end of your roster. And you also have the elevation. So if you really have a problem with it and you want to keep all your draft picks and you know, you can start guys like JT Gray and Stone Smart on the practice squad, elevate them for 3 weeks. And, you know, by that point, somebody gets hurt. Maybe you put them on the 53 that way. But that's the problem now, and it should be reversed. There should be more people acting like it's Chris Maragos and Brian Brayman today because you have more roster flexibility than you had back then. But nobody likes to keep just special teamers on the 53. And it boggles my mind because every year there's 4 or 5 guys who don't play.
Right.
And you're just stashing them on the back end of the roster. And you could have a valuable player.
Yeah, it's like living under an umbrella and there's not a rainy day yet. You know, you're preparing for something. I'd rather have the special teams guys.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one thing I've never understood. But yeah, now I want to pick on Mac McWilliams, but you know, Mac to me is the perfect example. It's like he's not helping on special teams. He's not playing on defense. Now, granted, you don't want to cut a 5th round pick. I get that. So, you know, stash somebody on the practice squad. Is he really going to get picked up off waivers? If he does, like Dylan McMahon a couple of years ago, you say, all right, Godspeed, you know. It's a Super Bowl contender. Would you rather have JT Gray being an all-pro gunner or some 5th round rookie sitting the entire year?
Right.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, one guy impacts every single game. The other guy sits there on the bench, like you said. I agree with you on it. So we'll see if they do. I think hopefully JT Gray will make the team. I did see some of the special teams grade out. John, you're right. He's like an all-pro special team guy. So we will see if he makes the team. That's the latest news, everybody. And then also, John, because we didn't do it on Birds 365, we did it on our special segment. Your thoughts on the trade of Sidney Brown, man? A 3rd round draft pick, you know, pretty high, John. Like I think top of the third round.
66. They had
Yeah,
back-to-back picks
like
that
when
year.
Makuba was drafted, and Makuba was a second rounder. Wasn't
Yeah.
Makuba 68?
64, I believe.
64. So
Last
top
pick.
last pick of the second round. That's right. What'd you make of the trade of Sidney Brown, J-Mac?
Yeah, disappointing. Obviously, when you draft somebody, they had back-to-back picks that year. They took Tyler Steen 65, Sidney Brown 66. Anytime you take somebody that high, you expect him to develop into a starter. I think everything was going well during his rookie season. That was unfortunately the Sean Desai, Matt Patricia season. You remember the pick six, 99-yard pick six in week 17 against Arizona. The next week, he tore his ACL in the meaningless game against the New York Giants. So that set him back. That was a really difficult rehab. We always talk about successful surgery, where here's an example of, I think a lot of people didn't know, he had a difficult rehab. He had to go back for a second surgery. So he missed the first 6 or 7 games in 2024. And by the time he came back, remember, he's rehabbing. He doesn't have an off season. You're changing to Vic Fangio. Vic doesn't like to play players who don't practice. So when he got back, I think a lot of people are, and I remember we've had discussions. Why is Tristan McCullum ahead of Sidney Brown? Well, Sidney Brown didn't practice the whole offseason and sort of fell behind that year. And that was kind of a lost year from that perspective. And then he come back this year, and there's some, discipline issues, some, freelancing issues, whatever you want to call them, that isn't going to bode well for Vic Fangio. Now, he might go down. The guy's got a ton of talent. Jeff Ulbrich, Kevin Stefanski, new regime down there. I think he wasn't going to play here, and I think it's somebody who needed a reboot. And I think he has a chance because he's tremendously talented. If he goes to a coach who's more, as I like to call him, more the havoc defensive coordination, I think Ulbrich is closer to that than Vic is, and he's a good defensive coordinator. Don't be surprised if he turns into a bit of a player, but I wouldn't get upset about it because he wasn't going to play here. So, but I'm sure if he flashes and becomes a starter down there, people will criticize it, but just not a fit for Vic, to be honest.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. He is officially gone. I got to give a shout out to Brian Pumper early in the show here. That's one of Brian Pumper's main guys. So he's officially gone, traded by the Philadelphia Eagles to the Atlanta Falcons. That trade came down on Friday. John, speaking of secondary, let's stay right there. I want to talk a little safety and a little corner here on the opening segment of today's show, today's Monday morning edition. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. John, if the start of the season comes and the starting safeties in week 1 are Marcus Epps and Andrew Makuba, I can't say it's the most inspiring bunch. But what do you make of that room? I mean, that's on our segment on Friday when they traded Sidney, you said, hey, that's an open spot right now. Look for safety additions. Well, right after we got off the air, they signed 2 of them. Really one of them, like you said, JT Gray, more of a special teams guy. But if it is Marcus Epps and Andrew Makuba, John, what do you make of that safety group?
Well, that would be a disappointment because that means Carter didn't handle the transition well. So I think the default setting should be Michael Carter and Drew Makuba. So I'll start there.
Okay.
If that, but I think that would be a clear weakness on the team. And one of the guys early 30 visits almost broke my own rule. It's Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina. So that's a potential day 2 pick. So, if you get somebody like that, Saki Wheatley from Penn State would be in the same range. If you get somebody like that, but then you start talking about having 2 really young guys on the back.
Yeah, that's what I don't like. But not that I wouldn't be happy.
But you'd be far more athletic. Right. So, it's a give and take.
What's the old Vic Fangio quote though, John? However many rookies you have on the field, what is it? Subtract a win from your something like that, right?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it would be difficult for me to imagine week one Jalen Kilgore next to Drew Makuba. So, maybe the second half of the season. And that's where Carter and Marcus Epps have to sort of factor in and mix in. But, I know because of the
Carter had
20.
any safety in his past. I know he came over from the Jets. He was a nickel cornerback, and he kind of was that hybrid. But did he ever play safety there? No, right?
No. And that's the part. And Vic's defense slot and safety have a lot of hybrid duties.
Right.
So they're almost, Jonathan Gannon used to call it mirrored positions. So I think that's one of the reasons they think he can do it. But that's a big projection. But I do think like they're counting on him more than Marcus Epps, which I think will surprise some people. But I think
the tandem of the two is not bad. I don't think it's all inspiring, but I do wonder how the cornerback situation factors into what they think is safety. Like something you floated a lot, John, is Cooper DeJean playing safety and base, which I think will happen. Maybe that changes their thinking. And the other thing is, this might be the best cornerback group we've had in quite a long time. Now, I know we had Darius Slay and Quinion Mitchell, so I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not acting like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you have Tariq Woolen, you have Quinion Mitchell, you have Cooper DeJean. That's a pretty good corner group. Maybe that changes how they view the safety spot a little bit.
Well, I think Cooper's the ultimate insurance policy because he can play anywhere at a high level. And, Tariq Woolen, yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Slay, who just retired, and congratulations. But, Tariq Woolen isn't Darius Slay, even at the end of his career. So to just assume that, I think a lot of people, because there's a big upside, but I think people assume that, well, he'll play corner in base. And that's why I floated it. Well, he will if he can handle it. But if Vic decides he can't handle it, then, Cooper's going to stay there in the base and you still have to figure out the safety. But if he can handle it, then Cooper can play safety in the base. And that maybe perhaps lighten some of the load on Carter or Epps, that they don't have to be Reed Blankenship and be on the field every single play. But I do think, we're still looking at an incomplete picture. They could add a safety in the draft. Yeah. They still go on the trademark. I don't think they're done at safety.
John, would you put anything on? Would you put any chance on the outside possibility that Cooper DeJean would become the safety full time, because Carter's, natural position has been slot in his career. So you slot him in there and you push Cooper back to safety. I personally don't think that's what they're going to do, but do you think there's any credence to that thought process, John?
I gave it credence, but I don't think Vic has. Vic's been pretty consistent and said, well, look, we know he's an all-pro player at slot, so why move an all-pro player? I think that's where Vic is. Now, again, because you want him on the field all three downs, you can move him around in base, which is, he laughed at one time, 160 snaps all season, basically. So you're talking about 10 snaps a game, a little bit under, where he would be playing safety. But even that 10 snaps would help, I think. But again, it's an incomplete picture right now. Like there's a number of guys, and Marcus just signed, so I'm sure it's for the league minimum, but there's a number of guys who have to make the 53. I talked about it at tight end. Grand Calcaterra has to make the 53. Got $700,000 in guaranteed money. Johnny Munt has to make the 53. Got $750,000 of guaranteed money. My guess is Marcus might get a little bit more guaranteed money, but he's got to make the 53. Carter's, because of the rework deal, he's making enough money where you can pretty much slot him in. So he'll be on the roster. But, like I always say about contracts, they don't tell you everything, but they tell you a lot.
Mhm.
And when you're not giving people significant guarantees, that means, all right, we're giving you a chance, but you have to go out and win the job
Right.
during the summer.
No doubt. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, I mentioned the cornerback room and how good it looked. One of the places that whole ranking graded the Tariq Woolen signing as the third best free agency move in all of the NFL this year. I don't know if you think it's that high, but I do think the addition of Reek Woolen, John, is a pretty good one, and that cornerback group looks pretty darn good right now, at least on paper. You have two All-Pros in Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell, first-team All-Pros. Pretty amazing what those two guys have become in just 2 years, and then you add in a young, player that has I think a high upside still at 26 years old. That's a pretty good corner group right now, John, as it stands today. Would you agree, or you still in wait and see mode?
Well, I'm in wait and see mode. Look, I've been honest. For the way people talk about Reek Woolen, I mean, he should have gotten a 5-year deal for $25 million a year, and he didn't. So that raises my antenna. And we've heard some of the issues and some of the penalties and some of the frustration, losing focus. Does that sound like a Vic Fangio thing? So I think it's to be determined. What I will say, and I don't know, I'm not a big list guy, as you know, but we are in list season. I don't know who 1 and 2 is on the list, but I will say he's got a big upside. So it could be like really good. And it could be one and done, but that's why it's a good contract for the Eagles. So kind of like how do you grade it? It's like, well, I think it's a good signing by the Eagles. But for those who are locking him in as some kind of Pro Bowl, I wouldn't count on that.
It was an ESPN article from Seth Walder who had it third. The 1 and 2, John, just because you asked, I'll give it to you. Now, number 1, the quarterback Kyler Murray signing with the Vikings. 1 year, $1.3 million deal for a big loaded roster. I don't think that's a bad move there, even though I'm not the biggest Kyler.
No, I think he's going to have a big season, at least statistically.
Yeah.
I do think, and obviously from Minnesota's perspective, they're paying him nothing. Arizona's paying them to play for the Minnesota,
Exactly.
so that's pretty good.
And look, he obviously is a talented guy. I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. He's a first-round MLB draft prospect. I mean, the kid is extremely
super talented, and obviously they have all the playmakers in place for the most part. But yeah, I mean, so I don't know if they're factoring money. Like it's always because what I'd rather, Jalen Phillips at $30 million is different than Jalen Phillips is a better signing.
Yeah, right. I think he is factoring in value here. I didn't read the full, it was ranking the best signings, trades, and contracts and free agency.
Yeah, so
I think it's a partly the money.
If it's value, yeah, it goes up because I do think it's a good contract for the Eagles, not a good contract for Tariq. So, and obviously the Murray contract is pretty good for Minnesota, and let's be honest, I mean, yeah, I get all the jokes about his height and stuff. He's a hell of a lot better than JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he is. You think they're done the JJ McCarthy stuff? They're probably,
they're done. I mean, Carson Wentz is going to be the backup. He's the third string guy. I mean,
that came and went quick, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was that bad.
It was
that bad.
It was. And then, John, number 2 on the list was quarterback Malik Willis signing with the Dolphins, 3 years.
Well, that's exact. That surprises me because he got a big deal, relatively, big deal for what he's done.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Sean Mannion had a cup of coffee with him on the field, and he got him $67.5 million. Maybe the biggest feather in the Sean Mannion cap as we speak, John.
And it was really one game, and I do remember the game. I was watching. The game was on, and I guess the Eagles weren't playing at that time, so I was watching it, and he was really impressive, Malik Willis. But think about where he's going to. I mean, they've just gutted their team.
I know, that's the thing that's tough. It's like,
so I mean, he's not going to be successful, and it's not necessarily going to be his fault. Other than Devin,
a reason like that when you're like, if you're Malik Willis, what are you thinking right now? Obviously, you're excited about the fact that you got $45 million guaranteed. You got a 3-year, $67.5 million contract. You made it to your second deal. Not many players in the NFL make it to a second contract, so you're happy about that. But it's hard to think he doesn't believe what you just stated. I mean, how am I supposed to? They just got rid of everybody on the Dolphins.
Well, I mean, that's the mentality of an athlete. They have to have that belief in themselves, so that's where I think it stems from. And, Malik Willis was a 3rd-round pick. So, he got $45 million in guaranteed. So he's set for life. So, he had to take the biggest contract, and he did. But yeah, I mean, thankfully, athletes think differently, because if he thought the way I thought or you thought, he'd be like, "Oh, geez, I'm in trouble." But he's got confidence in his abilities and thinks he's going to elevate people. And good luck. That's all I'll say to Malik Willis.
He does. That's the top 3 there. But Tariq Woolen coming in at number 3 on that list as one of the top signings in free agency, according to Seth Walder on ESPN. But I did feel pretty good about that corner spot, so I wanted to start there. And the safety, obviously, the shuffling going on at safety. If we do end up Michael Carter and Andrew Makuba, John, what's your outlook on Makuba right now? Any concern? I mean, I thought he played pretty well his rookie year. He settled in. And then he went down with that injury, obviously, which kind of came from a collision with Sidney Brown, if everybody remembers that correctly. And then now he's going to come back from injury here for year 2 in the NFL. What are your thoughts on Andrew Makuba going into year 2?
Yeah, I thought it was all positive except for, and it's not even about the fibula. It's about one of the knocks, and one of the reasons he was drafted where he was drafted is because he's undersized, and can he hold up at safety? And there were a couple, Drew Makuba. There were a couple injuries in camp, and he had an injury in camp. He had an injury during the season before the fibula. So that part of it, I'm a little concerned with. He's a very slight guy to hold up at safety. And if you think about speaking of, if you're moving Michael Carter, think about how small that safety group is. So a little bit of concern from that perspective, the durability perspective. But as far as what the Eagles thought of him, and that was a guy who was a natural coverage player, very comfortable in space. That was all true. That was all, they got that right. So I think, long term, if he stays healthy, he's going to be a really good coverage player. Because as he starts to limit the mistakes more, he's going to be a really good coverage player. But can he hold up?
We'll see. Hopefully, it grows into his NFL body a little bit. Sometimes you see that happen. I know it's different for a safety, but I think Makuba needs that a little bit, as John just pointed out. So we will see about that. Good stuff, everybody. I want to thank everybody for being here in the opening segment of the show. Here's a super chat before we get to the great Jeff Kerr. Nick Gonzalez says, good stuff there, Johnny Mac, and all-time lines. That is one of my go-to lines, Nick. Thanks for the super chat, my friend. Hope you're doing well this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. We got the great Jeff Kerr in the green room. Let's bring him up right now on Birds 365. He joins us here. You can follow him at Jeff Kerr, PHL, covering the Phillies this season. Coming up for 97.3 ESPN. Jeff, how you doing this Monday morning, my friend?
Long weekend, guys. Was in Lancaster and Hershey all weekend for a bowling tournament. Fun bowling tournament, but yeah, the arm's feeling sore today.
Oh,
did you get the 300? Yeah. Did you get that? That's all I want to know. Did you get the 300?
No, I did not. The big thing in this tournament was if you get 6 strikes in a row, you get your choice of ring baloney. I choked twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I choked twice. I had 5 in a row and couldn't get the 6.
Oh,
man, Joe. Wait, so what is it? You're gonna have to explain this to me real quick. Is it organized bowl? Like are you on like a team? It's like a
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so you have
like the equivalent of like a men's league for like a sport. Is it like that, or is it like a little bit more intense than that?
Yeah, so you have people like they come from the Philly area, Jersey, Delaware. It's a big Mid-Eastern tournament. They call it the Dutchman. And you have a team event on Saturday, you bowl 4 games. They can bowl singles and doubles on Sunday. And it's a modified house shot, meaning it's not like your typical bowling shots. A little tougher, a little more oil, but it's a fun tournament. It's it's a good chance to go out and get a cash in team, get a cash in doubles. So I made more money going in than what I paid to get in.
There you go. Good stuff, Kurt.
There we go. And it gives me a chance to bring up Big Ernie McCracken. Bill Murray's character from Kingpin. Good movie.
I don't think the Dutchman was in Kingpin, but I think there was a tournament that kind of resembled it. That's what I like to joke about that movie.
All right, Big Ernie. All right, I think you got a 236. You told me yesterday, something like
239. I ended up with
239. All right, I don't want to understate it.
648
this week too, by the way, aren't they?
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's this week. Yep.
Isn't Netflix doing the
they're doing the Yankees opener, Giants and Yankees on Wednesday night.
Is that the MLB opener, or is that just the Yankees opener?
That's the MLB opener. So with Netflix, in the NFL contract, Netflix just wants the Christmas Day games.
Yeah. They're all about big events. Netflix. They just
that's what they're doing in Major League Baseball. They got the opening night game, the home run derby, and the Field of Dreams game. Those are the 3 games they're going to be doing this year.
All right, Netflix.
Wow, so Thursday, the Phillies season kicks off on Thursday?
Thursday at 4:05.
3:05, I'm reading.
Oh, it's 4 this year. They moved it back.
Yeah,
That's
is it home? Is it home or away?
It's at home. They play Texas.
All right. I'm looking at the weather. Going to be a nice day. Going to be 72. So maybe
you're right, Jeff. 4:15. I don't know why the Google AI told me 3:05, but that might be
because it's always been 3:05 since like forever.
Yeah. Okay. So
you got to be careful with Google AI.
I know, man. It's a little goofy at times, no doubt. All right, Jeff, welcome in, man. 2 weeks now, free agency. Week 2 of free agency wrapped up. The Eagles closed it out with the trade of Sidney Brown, brought in some safeties. Before I get into some of the specific ones, what do you make of what the Eagles have done so far in 2 weeks of free agency? Quite a bit of departures, but I think they've improved their secondary a little bit, certainly the cornerback position, and obviously made some moves at safety. Still some holes on the roster. What do you make of what the Eagles have done so far?
Well, going back to the Sidney Brown trade, I wasn't surprised they moved on. It was more of, I think they're revamping the safety position. I wasn't surprised they brought back Marcus Epps after they made this move either. Bringing in JT Gray, I really like that move. A lot of special teams moves last week, by the way. I think John pointed that out too. Like when they signed Dameon Pierce, they signed JT Gray. It's like these moves, they
Stone Smart too. Stone Smart.
Yeah, Stone Smart. There are a lot of good special teams players I like here. Will they make the 53? I don't know. I think JT Gray's going to have a really good shot. I think Pierce will as a kick returner, but going back to the safety position, it just seemed like they wanted to revamp it a bit after they lost Reed Blankenship. It's okay. Well, we don't think that highly of Sidney Brown enough that we could start him. We got Andrew Makuba. They'll probably address safety in the draft, but JT Gray in the mix. Maybe he could play some safety. Marcus Epps could start. It's Cooper DeJean. We could see him more on the base package of safety or safety full time. Who knows? That was my big takeaway from last week.
Yeah, I do think it, harkens back. I mentioned it on the opening segment to Chip Kelly when they used to sign people like Chris Maragos, Brian Brayman, who just, were special teams players. Chris eventually elevated himself to play a little bit of safety, but JT Gray is not a safety. He's a special teams guy. You just have to call him something. Once I saw Damian Pierce's contract, I brought it up with Grant Calcaterra and Johnny Munt as well. I have much less confidence that he's going to be on the 53. He got $250,000 of guaranteed money. That's it.
It's not a lot.
So I think Damian Pierce has got an uphill battle. Understandable. You have Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby, Will Shipley. Are you going to keep 4? Well, they kept 4 last year with A.J. Dillon, who didn't play. That's another guy. Like didn't contribute on special teams. A.J.'s a great guy. He brought the positivity bunny, which didn't work, and he signed with Carolina. Why do these teams, Jeff? We're bringing it up. You gotta have inactive players game day anyway. Why have people shifted away from keeping really good special teams players?
That is a mystery, right? Look at the 17 Eagles, John. You brought up Chris Maragos, Brian Bremen. They were huge contributors to that Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
In the postseason. And I mean, look at the Super Bowl. Wasn't it Bremen the one who made the tackle on I gotta remember the game. When they pinned them deep late, Bremen had a tackle.
Yeah, Bremen had a lot of big special. Maragos had even more, but I mean, it's one of the things that drives me nuts because you have these guys, and I don't want to pick on them, but like, what did Mac McWilliams do for the Eagles last year that you're keeping them on the 53 the entire season? Same thing with A.J. Dillon.
I don't think Mac McWilliams earned that.
Well, the point, and then if you have somebody like JT, you're going to cut JT Gray, who might be your gunner, to keep a 5th-round rookie on the 53.
Like, and you just got rid of Sidney Brown, who, you could say whatever you want about him. He knew how to play special teams.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things in the NFL. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. I get guys don't want to cut their picks. But in the case of A.J. Dillon, you're doing it for a guy who's just what you promised him. Like Nick Gates. I love Nick Gates. Nick, if you're out in Vegas, awesome dude. But what are we doing?
You promised him a roster spot. That's pretty much it. They didn't have to use Nick Gates last year. How many games did Nick Gates play the Super Bowl year, John? 1?
Well, he played week 18. Yeah. I don't know if he played. He probably got in there a couple times, but because they blew out a bunch of people. But yeah, it was mainly just inactive. Yeah, that really is, that harkens me back to Larry Brown, who drafted Larry Hughes because he promised him, even though Paul Pierce fell. It's like, what do we?
Yeah, you don't know anybody anything.
Yeah. It's business.
Do you think another team would have claimed Mac McWilliams?
No.
I don't think so either. I think you could have just stopped on the practice squad.
Maybe because, cornerback is there's a dearth of cornerbacks in the NFL. And if somebody liked him in the draft process, maybe they take a shot. But at the end of the day, if you lose them off waivers, all right. I remember having that discussion with Mike Kay. Mike, if you're there, you never admit when you're wrong. I said, he's like, you got to keep Noah Tungiai. Noah Tungiai, they got him back 4 times. All right, you lost him off waivers. Yeah, you get him back anyway.
Where's Noah Tungiai off now?
I don't know. But, if the Eagles want him back, they'll get him back.
You know what? A little Mike K stray this morning.
All right. Here, you guys want to hear what my buddy, who I coach high school basketball with, this is part of his decision-making when he's debating on cutting a player. If he's replaceable, replace him.
Well, unfortunately, that's, yeah. And Noah, by the way, is not on the team now. We also had the Eli Ricks conversation, me and Mike, to get Mike.
Eli Ricks.
It's like, come on, dude. What the Eagles kept Eli Ricks around for a long time.
For one preseason game against third and fourth string, which John and I like to point out right away.
Yeah. And by the way, you should have kept Josh freaking Jobe.
Yeah, the
Not
point
Eli
he's doing.
Ricks. But
Here, I'll do a name drop. I love when Andrew Tacheko tweets about Josh Jobe. He was a Josh Jobe truther, and he was right.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, good. And at the bare minimum, Josh was contributing on special teams, so he should have had the advantage.
Yeah, and they just let him go, and now he's got a contract extension. Seattle was a huge part of their Super Bowl defense. Oh, and they let Woolen go in favor of Josh Jobe.
Yeah. How about that? That's another red flag, though, for Woolen, because a lot of people have already penciled in Woolen as a Pro Bowl corner. I'm like, why do you get a 1-year deal for $12 million at 26, 27 years old?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just think if there's anybody that's going to get a great year out of him, I have confidence Vic would be able to do it, so that's what I feel about it. But I do agree with you.
I feel he was worth the flyer, but again,
well, I think the ceiling is very high. But here's the thing, and everybody watches this show knows how much I like Vic, so I hope you realize that. But I don't think Vic is the best guy for guys who are undisciplined or guys who lose focus.
See, because Brown?
I think yes, exactly. I think he pulls the plug on those guys. And there are better alternatives for those types of players. And that's not a criticism of Vic Fangio. It's just got a high standard.
I'm actually excited to see what Sidney Brown can do in Atlanta. Not saying he'll be good or anything there, but man, what a raw deal. It's one of those weird things in the NFL, right? It's you get drafted by a certain coordinator, certain scheme. You learn that defense, very complicated defense. Desai gets fired. Patricia comes in. That doesn't work. You go to Vic. You're kind of out of favor of Vic right away, but you're toiling around for 2 years. And now you're kind of like on your fourth defensive coordinator in your 4 years in the league, and you're getting a fresh start somewhere else. Might be good for him.
No, I agree. He needed a change of scenery, and I told Eagles fans if he does play better, and I think he will play better in Atlanta, I wouldn't worry about it because he wasn't going to be used here. So, other than special teams, so. I mean, you turn the page, and if JT Gray comes in and he's even better on special teams, I think that factors in as well.
Yeah, Jeff's dealing with something at the house real quick. We're going to back up in a second. John, I agree with you there on in terms of safety spot. We'll see what ends up happening with that. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I like where they are in the secondary. You think they'll use a first round pick or not a first round pick? You think they'll use a premium draft pick shot on a safety here this year? Doesn't feel like
I don't, but it all depends on the board. Like I think they're going into it pretty heavily offense. That's on their mind. But again, you gotta ship because you're starting at 23. I think you're probably going to go offensive line. And then you might have a wide receiver you like it. Where are they? 54. I have to look up the drafts, but if the guy you like or the guy you projected to be there isn't there, then you gotta morph, and maybe you like the kid from South Carolina, maybe you like Kilgore. So I mean, things change rapidly, but I think the odds, if you're playing the odds, they're probably going to go heavy defense. But you have 4 picks in the top 100. I think one of those picks is going to be on the defensive side.
You mean heavy offense? You said heavy defense.
Yeah, heavy offense.
Gotcha.
I think one of those picks is going to be on the defensive side because you have 4 if you use them all.
It's the obvious one. I mean, if they go one in defense, is the edge, no?
I would think.
I guess if they trade for Grenard, that changes quick. But even then, you would think it would still be a priority because you have Nolan, who's going to, presumably the 5th-year option will get picked up. That's due in May. So we'll see what they do with that. You have Jalix Hunt. And then after that, I mean, depending on how long you think you'd have Grenard for, I think you'd still be in the market for an edge rusher.
Well, remember they got Ebikadi, so he's part of it as well. We'll see if Brandon Graham comes back. So you got decent depth if you get the headliner, if you get Grenard. I don't think it's a significant need immediately if you get him. But, then you start talking about a day 3 guy to contribute and hopefully develop. But, yeah, I think that if they make that move, that pretty much takes edge rusher off the board, I would say, in day 1 and day 2. And I'll be honest, I don't care about day 3 picks. Not to say they can't develop.
No, but I hear you. I mean, look at some of the day 3 picks they've had the last couple of years.
Yeah.
not that many of them have made big contributions to the team.
But, the top 100 guys, you got to get contributors at the bare minimum. And they have 4 picks, and they need to get contributors. Need to get a couple starters, but they need to get your contributors at all those picks.
Another year, John, of a lot of 1-year deals feels like coming for the Birds. We'll see what ends up happening with that. But overall, I do feel like when you talk about that draft, John, and 4 picks in the top 100, if you had to project right now, how do you think Howie will move in the draft this year? He's traded in quite a bit of first rounds in the last 5 years or so, whatever it's been. How do you think he'll move? And I'll get Jeff's answer on this. Jeff's back here with us, but how do you think Howie will move here in this draft? I think there's a small chance he moves back in round 1. I don't know if he will, but I could see it based on what Ian Cummings said, and then potentially trying to maximize how many players they can get that can contribute.
Well, I don't think he wants more than 9 picks. So I think he's more likely, in recent history says he's more likely to have one guy he's targeting to go up and get. I don't think he wants to add picks. Now that might change if he trades for Grenard. You might want to, whatever that takes, but that would be more second, third round kind of stuff. Then it might be back in the mix. But in the first round, I think he's far more likely to go up. Like Monroe Freeling's the one guy. Now, I just wrote about him yesterday. Like, it seems like everybody else is catching up to how the league thinks about him.
Yep.
So I saw Kuiper had him at 6 overall. Like, he might go top 10 now. He might go ahead of the kid from Miami, Spencer Fana, both of them.
Wow, you think he could go above the Miami guy too?
3 different major mock drafts had him going 6 overall now.
Wow. But he's catapulting up the board.
Yeah. Well, he's not. That's that part of what it's just like
on the mock drafts he is.
Well, yeah, there's a lag. That's what I said. There's a lag in mock drafts because what happens is they find out how much NFL teams like a particular prospect. Like, it hasn't changed from the NFL team's perspective. They've always been honed in. Now people are just finding out. The plugged in people. I don't pay attention to it. No offense, but Dave's blog spot. But the Kuipers of the world, the Jeremiahs of the world, people like that who are plugged in, the more information they get. Dane Brugler, who I think is the best from the Athletic. I mentioned him, but those guys are starting to figure out. Yeah. Oh, they like this kid. Yeah, right. Blake Miller too, to a lesser extent.
I've seen some Blake Miller, a lot more Blake Miller to the Birds. Jeff, what do you think? Do you think the Eagles could? How do you think Howie will move in the draft this year? He's got obviously 4 picks in the top hundo, sitting at 23 in the first round. Any feeling on what way Howie might move? He normally trades, whether it's up, back. He normally trades. What do you think he might do?
It doesn't feel like a trade back year, does it?
I thought it might be because we've heard a lot about the draft where it
is deeper.
That bell curve that Ian Cummings explained here on Birds 365, where it's the blue chips aren't there as much, but those middle, late first, second, third rounds are pretty good.
Yeah. I think it depends what they're also going for too. Like I think we're all in the consensus that it's either going to be offensive line or defensive line. At least that's where I'm going on.
I'm with you. Yeah.
But if there's not a pass rusher there that you like, you trade back and you try to get more draft capital. And of course, the other thing, we haven't mentioned him yet, the probably the word or the name no one wants to hear right now, A.J. Brown. What's going to happen there? He's going to get traded on draft night.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, it's still definitely a part of the draft conversation. If they do move, is AJ involved in that?
Yeah,
we're making it up, Jeff. We're making it up. We're meeting at the Penrose to get AJ down.
Is that where we meet now? I forget where we meet to conspire AJ Brown.
Well, we got to move now because people know. Yeah, we got to move the meeting.
We should do it.
Where's the wait? Everybody loves the AJ Brown topic. Where's the Jeff Kerr meter? Is he gone? Is he back? 80-20, 40,
I was 50-50 a couple weeks ago. I'm past 50-50. I'm like 70-30.
Okay, that he's gone.
Yeah. I still don't think you should trade good players, but he's gone.
Yeah.
I don't like trading good players, but it just, I don't know. There's so many vibes here. It's not like it used to be where it's like, get me out of here, or you're publicly announcing a trade. Like, I don't want to be here. No, he's just biding his time. And look, the cap situation makes it a little different, but post June 1st, it's fair game. And are the suitors going away? One suitor did with Denver. And by the way, that Jalen Waddle trade was great for the Eagles. Now, again, Howie Roseman is smart for asking what he's asking for.
Yeah, well, I mean, Howie, the old Tanner McKee stuff is, it starts.
Oh yeah, we want a second round pick for Tanner McKee.
Starts with a second round pick. Thomas Dimitrov gave that, let that cat out of the bag. He starts every conversation with a second round pick. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to reach for the stars, so to speak. And then you negotiate down from there, and hopefully you get something done. We haven't talked a lot about Tanner McKee in the wake of Andy Dalton, that trade, which was a little bit of a surprise. What's your take there? It gives him more flexibility. If somebody comes in, you probably feel comfortable moving Tanner McKee. Before you had Andy Dalton, you probably don't feel comfortable, and you have to pass on the trade. What do you think?
I wonder how many people remember Sam Howell was on this team last year, or they signed with Dallas.
Well, not many, but he is in Dallas, and he was on the team last year. The Eagles have a long history of bringing in big-time backup quarterbacks. Gardner Minshew for when Joe Flacco was here, and they traded Joe Flacco. Are they going to do the same thing with Tanner McKee, Jeff Kerr?
I think if the price is right, if they could, they're not going to get a second round pick, but if you could, yeah, you do it. I think
conditional 3.
I think they would take that. And look, because they have an ace in the hole, pun intended, and Andy Dalton. So look, if they don't trade Tanner, you got a pretty good quarterback room. You got a veteran like Dalton who does it really matter if he's a backup or if he's the third stringer here? Probably not. But if you can get something for Tanner McKee, and don't define backup, and then you develop somebody. You don't want to spend that much money on a backup quarterback anyway.
It was interesting because the Jets checked in on everybody basically before they acquired Geno Smith.
Reacquired Geno Smith.
The 49ers wanted a 2 for Mac Jones, which is understandable. Mac Jones, in my opinion, is one of the best 20 quarterbacks in the NFL. Houston with Davis Mills, they wanted a second round pick. And the Eagles wanted a second round pick for Tanner McKee. How is Tanner McKee in the bucket of Mac Jones? Well, I think Mac Jones is headed. But Davis Mills played 3 games. I think started 3 games last year, won all of them. Like, how is Tanner McKee in the bucket of Mac Jones and Davis Mills? I think Howie's overstepping there.
As one of Tanner McKee's biggest supporters, I think Eagles fans got a real dose of reality on what Tanner McKee actually is last year. And Not saying that he's not going to be anything, but
Oh, he play with a bunch of all the backup.
It doesn't matter. He's a backup. He played with those guys.
But how do you expect him to be successful as a quarterback when it's a position that's hell bent on it's reliant?
He did it the year before.
Well, that's fine. How did he look when he had Devontae and AJ? I remember him throwing touchdown passes and AJ Brown launching it into the crowd. Now I get it. I'm not trying. I like Brandon McKay. I can't crush him for last year playing with all backup.
But that's the film they got.
All right. Well, they got film.
I thought last year.
But are you putting him in the same category as Mac Jones?
No.
I mean,
no. But would you be shocked though if they really did get a conditional third for Taron McKee? I wouldn't. I think that'd be a great trade for him and them. It depends on where he goes.
I think that'd be pretty good for the.
I agree.
Well, now here's the second
I agree
part.
with you, Zander, in that part. Like, yeah, he's playing with backups, but those are guys he plays with.
That's fair.
Now here's the second part, though. Maybe Andy Dalton has nothing left. He started 7 games. He's 38 years old. He started 7 games over the past 3 years, and he won 1 of them for Carolina. Now, granted, Carolina was a terrible team for the vast majority of that time.
And Bryce Young was terrible until Dave Canales got a hold of him. Now he's like,
well, he played 1 game last year, and they got blown out by Buffalo 40-9. Andy Dalton, when Carolina was at least okay. I don't know. Is there anything left? Does the Red Rifle have anything left? Do you feel comfortable with him as your backup quarterback?
Jalen Hurts gets hurt. I don't feel comfortable with anybody. Listen, I don't know. But Cameron Key's there, I feel better.
I'm not talking about a season. Like if Jalen Hurts gets hurt in training camp, you're screwed. I'm saying if you got to win 2 games,
no,
you don't have confidence in Andy Dalton with a good supporting cast.
No, I have more faith in Taron McKee.
All right, there you have. Then you shouldn't trade him.
Yeah,
I don't think they will. I mean, I think we're just, I do think you're right, John, that it gives them, it's easier to take a call and accept a deal when you have Andy Dalton as your.
I mean, really, all you do is give up a 7th round pick for this guy,
and a future 7th round pick at that.
Yeah, what's he making? Like $3 million, right? Which isn't much money.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot for a 3rd string quarterback.
That's what I mean. That's a lot for.
I do think Andy Dalton will add a lot to the quarterback room with his knowledge, though.
I brought that up. Somebody bashed me in the comments. You're like, "Oh, what's Hurts going to learn from Andy Dalton?" I'm like, I'm not saying he's going to sit there holding his hand, mentoring him, but it's nice to have a guy that's seen 16 years of NFL football, has seen every defense.
By that logic, what's Hurts going to learn from Sean Mannion, career backup?
Right, exactly, Jeff. I agree 100%.
Or Parks Frazier, never been a quarterbacks coach,
which I think is a great. I mean, Why do they do this to Jalen? And John, I know that this one you're not going to like because you don't believe the coaches are, you believe the players are more important and whatever. You have your opinion on that. But, I mean,
they definitely are.
Don't you want to put a good quarterback coach around your quarterback?
Hey,
don't you want to surround him with the right minds to help accentuate the talents and the abilities of that player? I can't for the life of me figure out what they're doing at this spot. They just wrote. It's like they don't even give a shit about it. Parks Frazier is the quarterback coach?
Why is Parks Frazier taking so many strays?
Well, I just don't know what he does in terms of instilling confidence or instilling something in the building.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's my exact point. Now everybody thinks Sean Mannion's because they want to think that he's some kind of prodigy and he's going to be this great coach, and maybe he is. I don't know. Former quarterback. Parks was a former quarterback in college. He's been ahead of a quarterback's coach position. He's been an assistant quarterback's coach. He's been an interim offensive coordinator. He's called plays. He's been a passing game coordinator numerous places. I mean, I'm not picking on Parks Frazier. I'm just saying there's no way you could possibly know he's a bad coach and that he can't. And there's no way you can possibly know he's a good coach, which is part of my problem with people judging coaches. Ultimately, it's a lot easier for coaches to perform or at least be judged at a high level when they have really good players, which brings back to my point. And by the way, the really good coaches, the Vic Fangios of the world, they always say that first, players first. I have a bunch of good players.
John, and Jeff, you too, did you guys ever hear anything about how they felt about Scott Loeffler? I mean, it was kind of a quiet departure for Scott. Maybe some just chalked it up to coaching staff turnover, which I think is fair, but I got a good impression from Loeffler. My impression doesn't mean a whole lot. I've never been there or seen him or talked to him or any of those things, but he seemed like a competent guy. Seemed like Jalen liked him in the one clip I did see on Hard Knocks, which I know is a very small sample size. I understand this, but did you hear anything about how they felt about Scott Loeffler, or was that just kind of a mutual parting of ways? What happened there?
Didn't it feel like it was just, I mean, John, you can have more insight to this, but didn't it feel like it was just we're radically changing the offense and he's just not a part of it?
That's what it felt like to me too, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, the same thing. I'm like, other than this little cluster of Reddit people that made Scott Loeffler into something they had no idea what he did.
Come on, John. He called the red zone offense. What are you talking about, J-Mac?
Well, that's my point. He didn't. That's not how it works. But they hated Kevin Patullo so much that they wanted to give somebody else credit for it. So they just made it up in their minds.
That's usually what happens.
Actions speak louder than words. You're not here. Parks Frazier was moved to quarterbacks coach. That tells you who Nick Sirianni wanted to be the quarterbacks coach.
That doesn't make him right. I mean, he
doesn't make him right. No, but I'm just saying he's under contract, Scott Loeffler, and they moved on.
Yeah.
And that's the risk you take when you take that leap from the college ranks to the NFL ranks. It's like, I mean, look, if their offense was good last year, Scott Loeffler would still be here. Wasn't.
Yeah, well, everybody.
I don't think it was his fault, but
no, but you know what, Zander?
But I don't think it was his fault. That's
we hear this in Phillies land. Like, I always hear, who is Kevin Long developed? Look at the guy you just paid $150 million to, Kyle Schwarber. He's great against lefties now. The guy was like a 150 hitter against lefties. Now he's 250 and hits with power.
I think with Kevin Long, people hate the damn approach, though, man.
I think that's baseball more than him.
I agree.
I think it's the sport, and you could say that with football too.
Sometimes it drives me nuts that watching them. I'm like, holy shit, it drives me crazy, man. But
yeah, it's funny. Opening day week, and we're talking about coaches in our sport.
Yeah, wow. Kevin
Always
Long,
players.
yeah, he's a
So you guys think Jalen Hurts is fired up that Parks Frazier's his quarterbacks coach? I for one do not.
I don't think he's fired up with Scott Loeffler. I don't think he's fired up with Parks Frazier. It's just another change for Jalen Hurts that he's been dealing with his entire career.
Yeah, remember he said it last year, John. I've just been dealing with. But by the way, how did you guys like the whole dissecting of? Remember, John, when we were in the locker room that day on Super Bowl cleanout day, and Jalen with Patullo compared to Jalen. Oh, by the way, he was talking to one person as compared to cameras in his face and microphones in his face. Oh, by the way, Kevin Patullo wasn't the offensive coordinator yet when he said those comments.
Yeah. Well, you have to go through the rigmarole, the Rooney Rule rigmarole. Yeah. But everybody knew he was going to be offensive coordinator. But, everybody likes Kevin personally. Jalen likes Kevin Patullo, but didn't work out.
And he was right. Like, look, it's a different role for him. And I knew Jalen was pretty high on Shane Steichen. A lot of quarterbacks were high on Shane Steichen. Justin Herbert loves Shane Steichen. You ask him today, he'll tell you Shane Steichen was one of his favorite offensive coordinators, if not his favorite. Yeah, Shane has become larger than life. I love Shane to death. He would probably laugh at it too. He's become larger than Lane Johnson was talking about it. Hey, he's got some Shane Steichen to him.
I could see Shane just laughing.
When the Colts signed Daniel Jones that contract, I'm like, that's probably a pretty good investment if you kept Shane Steichen as your head coach.
Shane's got to win it. By the way, it's different in Indy. He's got to win this year.
I don't know. Chris Ballard somehow sticks around.
He got some bad luck. Obviously, they were going to be a playoff team, and Daniel Jones got hurt. But
who would have thought that last year? Daniel Jones was going to be the make or break for the Colts season.
He's not as bad as people think. I'll say that about Daniel Jones. Just had a bad situation with the New York Giants.
That's what happens when you play for the New York Football Giants.
Yeah.
But,
how many players have
by the way, one of the biggest problems with the New York Football Giants is still there.
Well, they've got a bunch of problems, but they're going in the right direction now.
They are going the right direction.
Joe Shane or Shane? Or
yeah, Joe Shane. It's I don't know how that guy has 9 lives, but
they got some
stability.
I think the New York Giants have some.
They have a bigger problem with their owner.
Yeah, no, I think
I knew where you were going with that.
He was moving, I think, his shares via trust to his kids or something because my man was in the Epstein files. Or
I was kind of laughing at that. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, you think about like who would be involved, and then it's like, man, that franchise right now, they just can't catch a break.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's responsible for his own behavior. I admire he's trying to give the trust to his kids so he can get out of it. But yeah, it is what it is. At least on the football field, they're John Harbaugh's going to make some good decisions. So that's something rare. And Joe Shane doesn't have any power anymore because John's in charge. They
got like a Ravens type feel now in New York because they brought Harbaugh in.
They have, which is a good thing, unless you're screwing the rest of the league in trades. The Ravens.
I mean, they could be doing that. How many times have the Ravens just backed out of a trade or backed out of a free agent sign?
Well, that one might have some legs because that affected a bunch of teams. With people trying to get Crosby, people budgeting different ways, yada yada yada. That one might have some legs.
I never seen like an I shouldn't even say organization. Just when I was talking to people in the Raiders media that were connected with people in the organization, they're like, okay, whatever. We got him back. We signed our guys. It sucks, but we'll live. Our defense is better.
Well, it's rare you have $100 million in cap space and you can take on that hit. Normally, that would have been interesting if the Raiders were a normal team and had a normal amount of cap space. And the $100 million. Yeah. And they weren't able to keep their other free agents they signed, like Nakobe Dean.
Will the Raiders be able to do anything about that? Like, can they file a grievance or anything like that if they wanted to? And that doesn't mean it would work, but do you think they would do that on that deal? I mean, you got to think all the guys they signed. I know they have the cap space, but you got to think this strategy completely changes when you have 2 extra first-round picks you think you're getting, and you're shedding $35 million,
It's not much you can do about it because all these things aren't final until the physical. Yeah. And no matter how many times we tell people it's not official until
Wednesday. That's how the Raiders treated it. Like what John said, it goes, look, it wasn't an official deal. They had to do some late maneuvering, but they said, look, we can still do what we want to do here.
But there is a gentleman's sort of agreement, but and the Ravens probably broke that, but they didn't break a rule. So there's nothing you can really do about it from that standpoint other than don't deal with them.
We had the TO anniversary last week of the Ravens deal getting nixed for TO.
Well, that was more TO centric.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. By the way, how do you still not file your free agency process? How is that hard to do? Get your agency to do that, or your agency doesn't do it, or whoever that was responsible for that.
Well, yeah, when paperwork stuff screws things up, yeah, that never looks good.
Like all year you complained about wanting to get out of there, and that's your chance to get out, and you miss it.
I'm interested to see what the hell went on with Dallas Goedert if we ever get to talk to him. It's like, what is going on here?
I don't think the market for Goddard was very good.
Well, clearly it wasn't.
Yeah, clearly is right.
I don't. What are we missing?
Yeah, how many times is that pushed back, John? 3 times?
Twice. But even that, I mean, I thought, all right, he's pushing it back twice, so I'll at least get 10 million. He's pushing it back twice for 7 million.
Yeah, for 7.
I would have let the contract expire out of spite, but that's me. I'm petty. Obviously, Dallas Goedert loves the organization. Eagles fans should love Dallas Goedert.
I think they really love Dallas Goedert.
I said the same thing, John.
But you know what? It was funny. I didn't want to bust their bubble last week because they do love that. They're like, Dallas Goedert took less money. I'm like, he did not take less money, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, he certainly did the Eagles a solid by moving.
That's where you're right. He did the Eagles a solid. He could have just said, no, it's running out.
Yeah, and if it runs out, that all the dead money accelerates, and it doesn't matter if they sign him to a new contract at 7 million. Then they got 22 million under the cap they got to deal with. So yeah, he did. Eagles fans should love Dallas Goedert. Love.
Jeff, 32
now,
days.
How does this Goddard contract work, John? I am looking into the particulars of this one. Did they push more dead money back?
Well, the whole point, the reason they had to do it is because you can't carry over the void years, the original void years to a like say cut them or expire his contract and then just restart it again. You'd have to sign a completely new deal, and the old deal accelerates and you got to deal with it. So they basically just kick the credit card payment down the road again. They still have to deal with it. They still have to pay the bill whenever they move on.
Didn't Rick Woolen have like a couple void years added to his deal?
Oh, everybody does. Everybody does. Even the 1 year guys for nothing do. I'll give you an example. I'll look
like
up
what John said. Credit card companies love the Eagles.
So I'm gonna look up Johnny Munt, the famous Johnny Munt.
Yeah, I know he got some void years.
So he got 1 year, 1.5 million, 750 fully guaranteed. So basically, a little bit over the veteran minimum. Basically, nothing. He's got 4 void years, 27 through 2030.
It's awesome.
Like what the hell's going on here? Why bother? Like I get it with the big money contract. Then it makes perfect sense.
I would hate to be the GM that replaces Howie Roseman. Whenever that happens.
It's bizarre to me.
Do you guys think that will ever happen? In Howie's career, in terms of like he would end up somewhere else. I'm not talking about him like retiring. Now, obviously, that's something.
I mean, it almost happened once.
John, you think Howie would?
Everybody's got a shelf life. So I would have said no with Joe Banner. I'd say no with Howie Roseman. But as Jeff said, I'll tell you what the crux point would be, and I have no idea. But when Jeffrey steps down and turns it over to Julian,
right,
that's the crux point.
Yeah. Like I never thought Tom Heckert would not be the GM or Joe Banner or President Football Operations, whatever title that they had there. But yeah, I agree with John. It's when Julian takes over, how much does this thing change? What does he change?
Yeah. Normally, when somebody takes over, they want their own people, and maybe Julian's close to Howie. I don't know. I'm not, but that would be the opportunity, I would say. And he should be smart enough to keep them. But, kids of rich people, they tend to screw things up. Look at Hal Steinbrenner.
You know what? Julian Lurie could be the most hated man in Philadelphia. There's a real good possibility of that.
Yeah.
If things go south, it's like John said. Look at Hal Steinbrenner. How many Yankees fans actually like Hal Steinbrenner?
Oh, I wonder if Julian will wear the same stink face that Jeffrey does. Did anybody catch the amount of stink faces that Jeffrey Lurie had on when they panned to him in the box this year, just sitting there like.
He was like, "This is my team."
I laughed at it every time because I'm like, yeah, he's watching this pitiful offense. I can barely move the ball to save their life. You know?
Jeffrey's a fan, man.
Most expensive offense in the history of pro football, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he loves when that's repeated.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's like
that's the straw that broke the camel's back. Zander.
Back to that Howie Roseman question. Jeffrey might be like, Howie's not doing that good. How do we get the most expensive offense in the history of pro football? They're good for 27th in the league. Come on.
We run that.
Well, but that's an interesting point. Shouldn't Howie take some hits for that?
He should. I think you should take some hits on last offseason. I mean, outside Jalen.
This is where I struggle with.
What really happened? Like
this is where I'll tell you because John, I think it's a great point, but this is where I struggle with it. Are we really did anybody when Howie signed Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, did anybody think it wasn't a good move? You know,
no.
The only move I think that was obviously blatantly kind of questionable was the Saquon second extension. But other than that, all the other.
What about the AJ Brown early extension?
Yeah, everybody thought that was a great move.
Fighting you in the ass. I thought it was a great move. I asked him the question: Why do it so early? I asked him the question.
The Saquon extension, right? Like I'm like, okay, I get it, good faith payment, but you didn't have to do that.
No, they didn't do that.
I thought that was unnecessary.
The only point, by the way, me personally, I think Howie did the right decision on all those deals. Unfortunately,
I agree with you.
But my only point is everybody else in football gets judged on results. It's not fair. Yeah. Not fair to Kevin Petula. Not fair to Nick Sirianni when people are shitting on him. People seem to add context in with Howie, which is nice for Howie. But if you're just judging results, you just paid that offense the most money of any offense in the history of football, and it sucked.
Yeah, you couldn't score 20 points against the San Francisco 49 banged up San Francisco 49ers defense in the playoff game.
In business, that's a bad investment, man. That's bad ROI right there, my friends.
I mean, look, Zander, like everybody's praising John Snyder right now. I always thought John Snyder was a great GM, but a couple years ago, that guy's getting ripped for every little move he made, and Seattle wasn't bad.
You guys think Seattle comes back to earth this year or what?
I think they're going to be good next year.
They're good. Too. They're a good team. No, they're not like I think New England's coming back to earth.
Yeah,
Seattle's a good team. And now, will they win enough? Probably not. Denver, in between those two teams.
I like how Denver's built it, so I think they'll be around. And I like how they added Waddle to that mix. I thought they were pretty solid at receiver before they got Waddle. And their offensive line's pretty good. Their offensive line played tremendous this year, by the way. But, I mean, look, would you be surprised if Denver won 11, 12 games again this year?
No.
I don't think the Chiefs are going to be.
By the way, my God, I'm just looking at the dead money hits for the Eagles this season. Now, obviously, but it tells you how much they kick the can down the road. Obviously, they're not cutting these players. The dead money this year for Jalen Hurts, $139 million. AJ Brown, $76 million. Lane Johnson, $40 million. Jordan Mailata, $40 million. Devontae Smith, $57 million.
That's why the discourse of, are the Eagles like, is this a prove-it year for Jalen, this or that? Like, or, does Jalen deserve a second extension, all this stuff? I'm like, look at his contract.
They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players with over $25 million of dead money.
They're all the players that they're not cutting too, right?
Yeah. Oh, no. No, they can't. They're not cutting any of them. But the point I only highlight that because it tells you how much they kick the can down the road.
Yeah, that's why it makes it
years.
difficult to trade a disgruntled player right now.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Now, ultimately, because Devontae got his extension, you understand the context. It's like you're trying to make AJ happy because, you can imagine the angst that would have created. And, use the term proactive, and they were proactive, and it made sense at the time. Now it doesn't make sense. That's the context.
Yeah.
But look,
like
everybody else gets judged on results.
Except Howard.
So I'm just saying. And it's not fair for anybody because it's a process-driven profession, but that's just the NFL.
No doubt. We'll see. Jeff, thanks for joining in today. Your final thoughts after 2 weeks, and we are like 34, 35 days away, I think, from there. 31 days away. How about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're less than a month away from the draft.
31 days, 10 hours, 35 minutes, 24 seconds, 23 seconds. How about that, folks, from the NFL draft?
It's an early draft this year, too. I think it's the earliest draft in at least 15 years.
April 23.
Big, everybody's getting their pro days. LSU, Miami today.
Penn State had theirs last week.
Yeah. Auburn, Notre Dame, Texas on Tuesday. Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M on Wednesday.
John, did you see the Jeff Schwartz tweet on Drew Hour last week?
I did not.
Oh, it was great. One of the Penn State writers was like, look at that dot by Drew Hour. And I thought the same thing Jeff Schwartz quote tweeted. And I'm like, that's not a dot. And Jeff Schwartz said, where's there a dot in that throw?
That's a normal quarterback throw.
Yeah. Did you see any of Jalen Hurts' flag football highlights, Jeff?
Couple dots.
I was too busy trying to win ring baloney when that was going on.
Couple dots. And the flag football at BMO Stadium for Fanatics and Michael Rubin.
By the way, the NFL guys got their butts whooped.
Shocker.
By real flag football players who, by the way, should be representing us in the Olympics. But
the
Facebook crowd don't want to hear that.
Jeff says real flag. All right, we get it. They're real. What the F is flag football? All right. Flag
it's going to be Olympic sport.
It's not the real thing, though. The real football players are the NFL guys.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be in the Olympics playing flag football.
That's my issue.
Put the goofy sport in the Olympics anyway. I don't know.
I agree with that.
Oh, too. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But
I'm just saying, if you want to win, play the flag football players. Who cares? Then
well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But yeah, like if you believe in winning gold medals and doing that, they have a team that's ranked number 1 in the world and they beat everybody. So why not go with them? Make them stars.
Yeah.
NFL guys are already going to be stars.
True that. Too.
This ain't basketball. This ain't the dream team.
No.
It was cool seeing Brady.
It's like what you said, Zander.
But
I don't know how many good...
What is flag football?
Yeah,
it's different.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we got to a point where it's on the world stage, but it certainly proves John's theory closer to being correct. We are on an inevitable trajectory, folks, to be watching flag football at some point in our future.
You know what? It's a down. Did you see Cam Scattaboo's stupid comments?
Yes.
Granted, stupid comments. Granted. So what? So what? He's a meathead.
I know.
There's been meatheads playing football for decades. Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares, John? I don't know why do people.
I don't know.
You got this whole.
Everybody's got to be
everything. I'm like, really?
Well, you know what? Perfect example, right? Villanova fan. Kevin Willard's comments to Lauren Shahadi. By the way, it wasn't at halftime for those people trying to make it viral. It was with 13 minutes left in the first half. I knew the guy was kidding. And people can't figure out it's a joke. Kevin Willard's a scumbag. Okay, yeah, he kind of is for how he left Seton Hall and how he left Maryland. But what does that have to do with this?
So he's like every college basketball coach in the country. They're all scumbag.
It's not just college
Every single
basketball, by
one.
the way.
Rick Pitino is one of the biggest
everyone,
scumbags
man.
in the world, and you praise him for
Rick
taking
Pitino,
St.
man.
John's to the Sweet 16. Give me a break.
He's good at it. So.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
I gotta
say
think.
that.
You know, who Willard remind me of. Remember when Brian Kelly tried to say the John McKay joke? But I'm all for it. You know, the execution of my team. I'm all for it. And you had these fucking losers today who have no idea who John McKay is. No idea it's a joke. Now, granted, if you're not a good joke teller, you better limit yourself, because these fucking morons take everything seriously. Everything.
That's how Willard said in the post game. He goes, "Welcome to my life." You know.
So you better have a good delivery, because these fucking idiots in their moral superiority,
who are probably the biggest scumbags of the world.
They're always the biggest scumbags in the world. Always. They'll be arrested for something awful 2 weeks from now, but they want to judge other people. I hate them. There's my tangent.
I like it.
I've had plenty of tangents. Like, people got mad because I found out about the Harry the Case thing. That this is bad. It's ghost energy. Why you write a story on this? That ain't my job.
What they're changing Harry the Case? What is that?
It is now the Ghost Energy Pavilion.
Well, I agree with that, by the way. I
agree with that too.
I mean, show it some, but everything's sponsored.
Yeah, everything's well, you know what I love to do when they say, "Oh, I wish it was good old days where nothing was sponsored." I like to put up a 40s, 50s billboard of Ebbets Field. It's awesome. Like, oh, you mean like this? There's more there. So we are going back to the old times.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Fithier, by the way. I agree with Phillies fans 100%. I wouldn't have changed it. I know they have a statue. I know the broadcast booth is named after, but that was part of the original charm of the ballpark. That's what the Vitterolls are.
Well, and we're getting far enough away, unfortunately, where you have a whole new group that don't even know who he is, and it's sad.
Which is a shame. Like, I mean, think about it. He died 17 years ago.
Yeah.
17 years ago.
A whole generation of fans who don't even know who the hell he was.
It's a shame. Or as I like to tell people, 17 years ago was 2009. 17 years ago from 2009 was 1992.
By the way, you know what I was thinking about with the flag football stuff when everybody was shocked. Not everybody, but a lot of people were shocked that that the NFL players couldn't just get off the couch and beat the flag football players. You remember Julius Erving and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had a one-on-one game in Atlantic City? I think it was during one of the strikes. They made it into a pay-per-view thing.
Wow.
It did in the 80s, right?
Yeah, we got some breaking news here in the NFL, but John, you can finish up. I'll get to it in a sec.
Well, so, you know, everybody's like, who doesn't understand one-on-one basketball? Like, that is the biggest mismatch in the history of the world. And Kareem destroyed him. Doc's so athletic, and Doc's my favorite basketball player of all time. You play he's 7'2" with the best hook shot in the history. You just back him up, and that's what he did. It was the most boring thing ever. And he won, I think, 44-21. Kareem. It's like, flag football is not NFL football. These guys are preparing for it. That's what it reminded me of.
By the way, Zander, he got paid.
Holy shit, man.
He got paid.
Breaking news, everybody, in the NFL. I need like a breaking news button. The Seahawks and Jackson Smith and Jigba have a deal, as he is now the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL, getting a 4-year, $168.6 million contract with $120 million guaranteed per his agent at Wynn Sports Group. Holy shit. That is literally quarterback money, man.
Yeah, and here comes Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson knocking on the door.
Yeah, Jamar.
How about AJ?
40?
Well, AJ. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's up there. They're both up there.
Yeah, AJ's gonna have to be good with his 32, Jeff. Okay, he's gonna have to sit right there.
Yeah, I mean, I would be good with 32.
You know.
Yeah,
We
it was
talked
funny.
about
Like,
this. I ripped on this last week. Me and John were debating it. Should have caught those balls in the playoff game if you wanted to get a 43 over Jackson Smith, AJ. All
that's
right?
why I loved like when the Phillies actually gave Sanchez more money because like he was grossly underpaid for how well he played. But like I've talked to him about this like last year. He goes, "Man, I'm good. Like generational money. My family's set, and they give him 107 million anyway.
You know who should be knocking.
Good things happen to good people.
I'll tell you who should be knocking. It's not AJ Brown. It's freaking Devontae Smith, who is like on a bargain basement deal right now.
Wait till he gets like 100 catches for like 1,700 yards next year.
Well, I don't know if he'll do that, but we'll find it. We'll see. All right, Jeff, I got to run, brother. We appreciate you doing it today. Thanks for doing it. We'll talk to you again next week. All right, man?
Sounds great. Thanks, Zander.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, bud.
For joining us right here on Birds 365. Great segment there with Jeff. Appreciate him joining in. Big news in the NFL as Jackson Smith and Jigba gets a massive deal. 4 years, 168 large, 120 million guaranteed. Johnny Mac. That's a hell of a contract, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really takes me. That's where we're going. That's how contracts work. And he cashed in, man. NFL Offensive Player of the Year, wins the Super Bowl. Yeah, he was going to set the market, and they set the market. And that's how it works.
Yeah, no doubt. Big stuff there for Jackson Smith and Jigba. Good signing for the Seahawks. We'll see how they do. All right. Speaking of setting the market, John, a perfect segue into our final segment here on the show today. Got about 25 minutes left to play on Birds 365. Brought to you by the great people at Fritz Bianculli Law Firm. Give Brian Fritz a call. Setting the market, Jaylen Carter, or as two phrases that go hand in hand. When's this deal coming, Johnny Mac? I got my senses are tingling that the Jaylen Carter contract is on the brink of breaking. Am I correct? Am I wrong? You've been saying you think next year. What do you know about Jaylen Carter? Where are
No, I said I would wait. They've been working. They've been working on an extension. But again, I try to point out that it's a two-way street. So obviously the Eagles are looking for the most cost-effective deal. They'll set the market at defensive tackle with Jaylen Carter, but they don't want to go. And I'm sure Drew Rosenhaus is looking to explode the market. So, that's a give and take. Jaylen Carter's coming off not a great season by his standards because of injuries mainly and his shoulder problems. So from that standpoint, I would wait if I were the Eagles, but they're all indications are they're trying to work something out right now. But again, the timing isn't that big of a deal. I don't know why people are so obsessed by timing, but I know they are. All I can tell you is they're working on a deal, and it may get done. It may not get done because if he wants to go to 40 million or something like that, they may say, we have some time. We'll figure it out. But it's not, the 50-year option is there. They're going to exercise it. They did the same thing with Jordan Davis. They exercised it. They waited a year and they re-signed the deal. Same thing could happen here. It's going to get done. It's just a matter of when it gets done.
And where do you think that number will be?
Well, it's going to be 35, and I imagine he wants 40.
Yeah, I think 40. I think what Drew wants is 40.
But they'll definitely make him the highest paid defensive tackle in the history.
Look, I think Jaylen Carter has been a great player, and I think he is the guy that the Eagles will ultimately build their defense around. Do you think he's played his way into a $40 million deal?
No, that's why I'm not playing it. That's why I'm not doing it. You got to prove that. Especially coming off last season. Now, coming off his, the Super Bowl season's a little bit different. But, the market right now is Chris Jones at 31.75. You know, really, you're going to go to 40? I'm not going to 40. I mean, you know, I prefer to go 34, 35. And if they can get something done in that range, and, you know, the Eagles will avoid it and to death, and, you know, the cap numbers will be low early and exorbitant late. But yeah, it'll get done. They give me an example. You know, Jordan Davis has got void years through 2033. Under contract through 2029. He's got void years through 2033. And my assumption is it'll be very similar. They'll fold in the 5th-year option and extend him for probably 3 years after that, very similar to Jordan Davis. So you'll have the 27 million number folded into the whatever 35. So the first year will be, you know, probably under contract through 2029, just like Jordan Davis. So you talk 27 plus.
Any thoughts on the any information out there, John, on the shoulders right now for Jaylen Carter? Did he get him operated on? Did he do a surgery this summer? What, like, I saw the videos where people were putting out of him working out, which is great to see, but
no, it's like the Ben Simmons. It's like the Ben Simmons videos.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, it's exactly what I thought about.
Yeah, no, it's good from the perspective of he couldn't even lift last year, so he's lifting weights, so it's positive. No, to my knowledge, he hasn't undergone surgery, so hopefully the PRP treatments he had during the season last year. And there was talk that he might have to undergo surgery. And he might have, and we'll talk to him, but he's back really early if he did. I mean, you wouldn't be working out. So just my hunch is he didn't, because he's out there lifting some what looked like some pretty significant weight. So you would think that would take more time to get to that point, but that's just a hunch. But I've seen no evidence that he had surgery.
I haven't either. Is it something you think could rear back up if he doesn't get the surgery? You know, surgery might be one of those things where it's shorter term, but you're better off longer term, or at least in the 5-year window. Is this something that could rear back up? Could he be missing another game next year? He's got to sit down with shoulder problems. I mean, that came up last year. You know, Drew was monitoring it clearly. You remember the Giants game where he didn't play because of something on his heel or something, wasn't it? It was like a weird thing. He didn't play the Giants game earlier in the year, and then later in the year he sat out. Is there something that could rear its head back up, John, if they don't operate on it?
Well, I don't know. I think that's the whole point. I mean, for those who don't know, PRP is, the platelet-rich plasma. So where they take out your own blood, they spin it and they put it back in, and it's supposed to be regenerative. So what does regenerative mean? It's degenerative. So yeah, that's part of the problem. That's why I'd wait a year.
Yeah, right.
So, the treatment is supposed to accelerate healing, blah, 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 stimulate things. I'm sure he feels better. At the time I said, yeah, it's the same when we talk about Cam and Landon. It ain't good. It might work, but it ain't good. So, I mean, that's why I'd wait. Me personally. Like, I want to see what he is next year more than anything else.
And you still view him though as an integral piece to the Eagles' future, right?
Well, they still view him as that. I don't know what he is because he didn't play well last year. And people have a very difficult time admitting that to himself when he did play. Now, I think there's reasons for that. And the reasons are he was not healthy. But that's why I want to see if he's healthy. I think rest more than anything else is going to help Jaylen Carter. So my hope is he gets back to what he was in 2024. But that's why I want to wait. I'm hard line on this. But the Eagles obviously disagree with me. I'm not paying the guy last year $35 million. Not doing it.
It's tough needle to thread here because the 2024 guy you're willing to pay 40.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Now I'm not speaking for you. I'm just saying, like in general.
Well, and my big obviously I talked about it a lot. The amount of plays, the amount of reps that he played obviously had an impact on him. So I think the Eagles also have to be more disciplined in limiting his number of snaps, but that's easier said than done.
John, I think the health is the number one thing here, but the other side to the Jaylen Carter discussion, and I'd ask you how much you believe the Eagles are weighing this, is the disciplinary stuff. Obviously, he came out with what he can. I hate holding that against Jaylen Carter. Like talk about grandstanding. I mean, people who act like they didn't do anything wrong as a 19 or 20-year-old kid drives me fucking bonkers. But obviously it happened, and then you have like the Dak Prescott thing. You've had some things obviously come up with Jaylen Carter. It's been a talk about him. How much do you think it's a factor inside the Eagles building?
I don't think it's much of a factor because all indications are they're working on a big money extension, so they don't seem to care about that. The immaturity stuff. I mean, yeah, you'd like him to be a little bit more mature. With the the Target incident, the spitting incident.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously you want him.
The Target one was weird.
Well, that was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But
the company is
exactly. So you'd prefer him to be a little bit more, but I don't think that is affecting anything. I obviously, if you want to go back to his Georgia days and the holier than thou's, obviously made a big mistake.
Yeah.
But that's been litigated. Hopefully he doesn't do that kind of stuff anymore. But that's the reason he got picked where he got picked. Otherwise he would have been
top five.
Yeah. Maybe number one.
Who went number one that year? Bryce Young? 23, right? Was it 23?
23, yeah. 23. Well,
might have been Bryce Young, right? Or no, he might have been 22.
The Bears traded it, right? So who'd the Bears trade it to? Because the Bears,
it was Bryce Young. Yeah, the Panthers traded for it, didn't they?
Yeah, from Chicago.
Yeah, and then CJ Stroud went number 2.
So that was my big criticism of Chicago because they passed on twice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And they ended up getting Darnell Wright, who turned it on last year. So, but still, I think that they were gutless. But so that was a big quarterback draft. So you had Bryce Young, you had CJ Stroud, you had Anthony Richardson, which obviously Anthony Richardson didn't work. That was the Bijan draft, Will Anderson draft. He was the top defensive player. But boy, you had Will Anderson, Devin Witherspoon, Jaylen Carter, in between the Raiders being the Raiders, get Tyree Wilson. Think about those three guys. Will Anderson, Devin Witherspoon, Jaylen Carter. Good draft at the top. That was Jahmyr Gibbs' draft. Christian Gonzalez, Jack Campbell, Jackson Smith and Jigbo just cashed in. Zay Flowers, good player. Dalton Kincaid, good player. That was a good draft. The top. Maybe not the quarterbacks.
So, John, I know you think you said you'd wait. I happen to be in your camp, but I understand why they wanted to get ahead of this thing because, boy, if he plays good this year, it might be $46 million. But do you think it will come? If I got the John McMullen meter that we've used all summer, where would it fall on Jaylen Carter getting a deal in the next couple months at some point this summer?
Yeah, I think they're going to get it done this summer. But if you hit by this summer, if you hit week 1, you're probably not going to get it done because Howie's got this policy. So there's your deadline. Got to get it done before week 1. But I think they've made it clear they want to get it done. So now it just comes to find that middle ground. Eagles want to save a couple bucks, and I'm sure Drew Rosenhaus doesn't want to let them save a couple bucks.
And if somebody offers the Eagles a 1 and a 2 for Jaylen Carter, you think they'll consider it?
No, I think they'd consider 2 1s, and I don't think you're getting that. So I don't think it's that relevant.
Me neither. Just wanted to put it out there. All right, good stuff on Jaylen Carter. We'll see what ends up happening with him. I think the deal will come this summer like Johnny Mac does, but I don't know when, and I don't know for how much because I think he's as good of a player as he is. I think he's not quite the 40 million guy. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a little more, but at the same time, I'm also understanding of what that ceiling can be, and you don't want to let a guy like that walk or let the contract balloon. If he plays really good, I think it's going to be 46 as opposed to if you can get it for 36 this year, you save some change there. So we'll see what they end up doing. Good stuff there today. I want to thank everybody for being here. 31 days, Johnny Mac. 31 days, 10 hours, 9 minutes, 42 seconds until the kickoff of the NFL draft, my man. It is draft season. We got to get back Ian this week. We got to try and get back some more draft guys this week. It's coming quick, John. It's coming real quick.
Yeah, it is. We got Chris Franklin tomorrow, so our buddy's going to be back. Chris Franklin.
Nice. I talked to Chris a bit. Good stuff.
So he'll be back tomorrow. We'll try to get I don't know where Mike is. If Mike's on vacation, I'll try to get Ian or Devin. I still got to get some SIS guys. I don't know if Matt can do it. But one of his guys should be able to do it. So they do a good job, by the way. If you want a good draft site, go to Sports Info Solutions NFL draft site. Google that.
Yeah, they're really good. SIS, they're good. They're good. We've had Matt Manicherry on for years, even back in the Jody day. I mean, he was great back then. So he's always been good for us. Hopefully he comes on once this year too. We'll try and talk to him. Good stuff. We got a super chat we will get to. Here's Brian Pumper. I knew Pump would check in after the flag football. He says this: pray for Jalen Hurts, SMH, Logan Paul cooked my king. Damn it, fellas, that was embarrassing. 3 sacks and 1 int forced on my hero.
I think the only embarrassing thing was, given flag football stats. Come on, Pumper. Who cares?
I know, it's like ridiculous. But, Pump, I know you love the stats. He did have some dots. How about that?
That's some dots.
Some dots to Devontae Smith in the back of the end zone.
Yeah. Logan Paul got chuked by Saquon though in practice. So you got that.
So that means Saquon's going to be a first team All Pro this year, right?
Yeah.
What does that? What do they do, John? What is it, like 7-on-7? I didn't watch them.
I think it's 5-on-5. I don't know. But I didn't watch. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, Nikes 5-on-5.
I think the normal rules are 5-on-5, but I have no idea.
5-on-5, non-contact, obviously. 4 downs to reach midfield and 4 more to score.
Yeah, it's only a 50-yard field, so you have less room, obviously. So, the long speed is not as important as the quickness, the short area quickness. It's a different fucking game. It's
why were Brady and Hurts on the field at the same time?
No idea. Didn't watch it.
Yeah, I just don't know if you knew the rule there. I saw a picture of Brady tossing the ball to Hurts.
I mean, obviously there's no offensive lineman out there.
Yeah, right. So
So according to this, and again, this is AI, so take it for what it's 5-on-5 or 7-on-7. I don't know what they did out there. Yeah, as you said, USA football mandates 4 downs to reach midfield, 4 to score. No running blocking allowed. Games typically use a 50-yard field, 15-minute half, 6-point touchdowns, 1 or 2-point conversions, blah, blah, blah.
So in the chat, they're telling me it's a 2-quarterback set. And you can lateral it to buy time and still throw.
There you go.
Sounds like recess football. I mean, that's what we played in recess.
I mean, that's what it's like, I mean, yeah, get Lane Johnson out there blocking you. It's not football. It's fine. It's a fine activity.
Here's where the NFL's involved. They take this goofy ass game and they use it as this big marketing thing. And they got I'm sure their social media numbers were way up this weekend, John, because of the flag football posting.
I'll tell you what,
Jalen, all the stars are out there.
Yeah, and it wasn't an NFL sanctioned event, but if the NFL thought their players were going to win this game, they should be ashamed of themselves.
I don't know if they thought that or not. Who knows? But they did post it. It might not have been NFL sanctioned, but they were posting it like crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're clearly on board with it.
Yeah.
And as you said, they have their own flag football initiative because they know what's coming. But that's going to be a sad fucking day. I'll tell you that. I'm not covering that bullshit.
I don't blame you, man. I told you pre-show, we start playing flag football, JAKIB might cease to exist. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to sit here and talk about fucking flag football all day. All right. I mean, but all right, John, 5 minutes left to go in the show today. I think we had some good topics with the safeties, the secondary stuff at the open of the show. Obviously, the Tariq Woolen stuff, the safety moves that they made, Michael Carter, Marcus Epps, JT Gray, good special teams player, the trade of Sidney Brown. Then we had Jeff Kerr on, and now we're under a month away, 31 days away from the NFL draft. We get closer to that, and plenty more happening here in Eagle Land, John. What's the run up to the draft look like? It's heavy draft news, right? All the way.
Oh yeah, I mentioned some of the pro days. A lot of big time schools having pro days this week. A lot of them. Alabama, Texas, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, all this week, a little bit earlier than usual. So you got to get the shit underway. I'm sure more of the 30 visits the Eagles are having will come out as you get to some of these pro days and talk to the players. They kind of let the cat out of the bag. So yeah, it's going to be heavy draft centric. There'll still be a little bit of free agency news trickling around the league, but most of the guys now, you have some veteran guys who want to wait. They don't want to be, like I brought up Cam Jordan. Worst comes to worst, can you bring in Cam Jordan for a year to go chase a ring?
Yeah.
But that would happen like late in the process because he doesn't want it.
He don't want to go to OTAs and shit like that, which he won't. But
that'll be late. And I'm not saying they're going to do that, but I'm just saying, there are guys like that out there who don't want to be bothered with the off-season stuff and will wait until training camp and things like that. So, but that news, that kind of stuff will trickle in, but you're talking more of the Stone Smart JT Gray signings at this stage.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, John, final thing I'm going to give you here before we run. All right. I know you don't like mocks. Our buddies over at Bleeding Green Nation. You tell me what you think of these. Benjamin Nayton. I've never heard of him. I don't know if he's new to Bleeding Green Nation, but he wrote this. Pick 1, 23 overall. Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver from Indiana. Pick 2, round number 54 overall. Eli Stowers, tight end, Vanderbilt. Pick 3, 68 overall. Danny Dennis Sutton, edge, Penn State. What do you think? Wide receiver, tight end, edge.
I think they're looking at who came in for 30 visits and taking it. I'll say this.
Is that all 30 guys?
Yeah, Omar and Danny Dennis Sutton were 30 visit guys. Stowers, not yet. You can't draft Cooper and Stowers 1-2. I
No,
mean,
I don't think so.
um,
Wait, why though? You say you could just because of no offensive lineman?
well, no offensive lineman. Plus, you're just taking playmakers. You're not, Eli Stowers is a flex tight end. He's not a blocking tight end. So if you change that to Max Clare, I'd be fine with it. But
Fear not, John. Johnny Munt is here.
well, you got to get him to make the team first.
Well, like you said, if they draft a pass catcher, then I think he might make the team. I mean,
I don't know, but I think this is I think you want him to play. I think that'd be a good flag football team. Bring in Cooper and Stowers.
Flag football it is, John. Maybe they're
very
building
quick.
that. Who knows, man? Who knows?
I think it'd be. I'd prefer Blake Miller and Max Clare. There you go.
All right, I'm good with that. Blake, yeah, I think that's a better draft. Blake Miller and Max Clare. All right, John, your final thoughts here on a Monday edition of Birds 365, my friend.
And I don't hate mock drafts. I just think they're
dumb. They are dumb.
They're dumb. Yeah. Not if you want to use them just to learn about the players, that's fine. But don't take them seriously. Is all.
Yeah, I'm gonna start hitting you with mock drafts, and I won't make you do them, but I'll make you respond like you did.
Well, I do one.
Yeah, not yet though, right?
No.
All right, John. Good show today, my friend. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Tuesday edition.
All right, thanks everybody.
All right, thanks, John. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Great show today. Appreciate everybody being here. All right, a lot of good conversation today, especially on that secondary in the opening segment. Thought that was a good segment, good strong segment. Appreciate Jeff Kerr joining in, and then as well with Jaylen Carter. What do you got? I'll start there for Zander time here today. Where is everybody on the Jaylen Carter deal? Obviously, I think we all love Jaylen Carter because we know how good of a player he is or can be. Does the deal come? Are you uncomfortable with the thought of 35 plus for that player? Do you think it's a no-brainer? I'm just trying to gauge where Eagles fans are. I think obviously we all know the talent of Jaylen Carter. I don't need to explain this shit to you. Jaylen Carter is obviously one of the most talented players on the football team. There's some stuff there with the shoulders, the discipline stuff, if that's something that you care about or you think the Eagles care about. There's certainly something there. And you're talking about $35 to $40 million most likely for that football player. Do you want to wait and see? Do you want to give him the deal now? Do you want to get ahead of it? If he takes 36 now, it's a big difference from what he might take if he dominates this year, where it'd probably be 42, 43, $44 million. So I'm in the pay him camp, but I also understand that we're taking a risk here. Let's get some comments here on this. Slager says, I have to definitively be comfortable with the medical. I think that's fair, Slager. I don't know if they are or not. KCA says he doesn't deserve a deal right now. Don't do it. KCA playing with fire a little bit. Keese, what's up, Keese? I think we should sign him now while his value isn't as good. Keese, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Rasputin says, Rosenhaus will not let him sign for less than 40. If they don't hit that this year, they'll be paying mid-40s if he plays well next year. I agree, Rasputin, and I kind of think you're right about Drew Rosenhaus as well. Zander, get yourself a sound deck. You mean like a little thing I can play sounds and shit? Yeah, Keese, I'm better at the other shit, unfortunately. I've never been that good at that stuff, dude. That's my deficiency, is I'm not that good at creating graphic stuff. I'm not that good at, it's just I'm better at building the back end of the business, so. But it is what it is, Keith. No excuses, man. No excuses. Pieta says, what stupid shit does he do next? Wait till midseason. Pietas, what do you want, man? Are you Pietas, let me ask you a question. Are you building a weekly church group or are you building a football team? I don't fucking know. What am I supposed to do? Sit here and play the morality police? Oh my God, Jaylen Carter. Dude, the guy can play football when he goes on the field. We won a Super Bowl already with him on the field. Is it going to stop us from winning a damn Super Bowl? Hell no. So what are we crying about? I get your point, Pierre. I'm not saying your point is bad. I'm just saying it feels like one of those things where, boy, if we get caught up in that, I mean, you might not pay anybody. You know? Yeah, choir boys. I don't think it's the way to base your decisions on, you know. But I think, Pierce, you're right. Suspension's an injury. I think it's fair. I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying I'd probably value some other things more than that. The injuries, I think it's very, very relevant. Fleming says, I'm not paying him until he proves he's healthy. Otherwise, it's Cam Jurgens all over again. Fair point, but come on, Fleming. Let's be real here. Cam Jurgens never, ever, 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 ever appeared to look like, had the upside, the ability, the talent of Jaylen Carter. It's not even in the same ballpark. Now, your point is right about paying early, but, I mean, come on. Cam Jurgens is not fucking Jaylen Carter. Doesn't have the skill, the talent, the ability, or the upside. He never did either. Before the contract or after the contract. Jay says, I don't trust paying Carter so much money. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Fuck that. Pay him before he pulls a Milton Williams on our Eagle asses. Well, remember, Keith, we could pick up the 5th-year option, and if the Eagles really want to play hardball, they could franchise tag him for 2 years. And it'd be a discount, so, you know, 2 can play that game. Keith. Not quite like Milton Williams. It's not the same, guys. Dad says bingo, Keith. I don't think so, folks. I mean, the Eagles aren't going to let him play hardball like Milton. They would never use the franchise tag on Milton. They're not going to just let Jaylen Carter go to free agency because he wouldn't take $38 million. Keith says, you know better than I do that we don't use franchise tags. Bullshit, Keith. They don't right now, but you think, wait, so Keith thinks this. Keith thinks there's a better chance of them letting Jaylen Carter walk out the building after next year than there is about using a 5th-year option. You know, a deal just came down today, Keith, for Jackson Smith and Jigba for $42 million large a year. You know what they did a couple weeks ago? They picked up the 5th-year option. They're not going to let him walk out the building like he's Milton fucking Williams. Stop. Keith, don't play dumb with me, Keith. You're too smart for this shit. Moot point. My ass, Case. Moot point. Rasmussen, got to keep in mind Carter could also pull a sue if the Eagles turn into a dumpster fire and go to the highest bidder after 27. Yeah, it'd be quite a bit of time. You never know what a Howie type will do. Sig, I don't know what you're insinuating there, but something tells me I should get off it. Oh, man, Sig. Here's JD3. Uh-oh. I see a ZK's Garage mention. I filmed the ZK's Garage video this weekend. I'm going to post it up as soon as I get it edited. JD3, this dude got sacked by Logan Paul and was throwing interceptions at NJ Fishing Maniac and ZK's Garage. I know Mark Holmes is going to sign up for the next one. Shame on all Jalenites. Oh, JD3, quit fucking bitching, dude. Are you an Eagle fan or have you just become a Jalen Hurts hater? It's like these guys who want Jalen Hurts replaced. They've abandoned reason for madness. What's that line in Lord of the Rings that what's his name? That Gandalf says to Saruman. Gandalf line to Saruman. Reason for madness. I think that was it. I might have nailed it. Tell me, friend, when did Saruman the Wise abandon reason for madness? Come on! Come on, JD3. Come on, man. When did JD the Wise abandon reason for madness? Ian E says, every year Jalen Hurts has been the starter. The Eagles have made the playoffs, gone to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. Be careful what you wish for. Ian, ain't that the truth, my friend? I honestly, guys, I don't live in fairy tale land. I don't act like the offense is perfect or that Jalen Hurts is the greatest quarterback to ever walk planet Earth. I don't act like this. But let's also not be dumb. What Ian East is saying here is very true and very relevant. You don't just fucking replace people and expect, okay, the grass is greener. You know what that makes you, JD3? Hey, JD3, I want you to listen closely. You know what that makes you, JD3? It makes you AJ Brown. The grass is greener. The grass is greener. The grass is greener. Yeah, well, maybe it's fucking not. It might not be. Okay? It might not be. Everybody loves to think about the possibility. Oh, let's move on. Let's do that. Guys, we could have the greatest offense in the world. Like they live in we create this fairy tale land in our fucking head. You know? Let's not live in fairy tale land. Let's not live in fairy tale land. Are there areas the offense should and could be better? And some of that on Jalen Hurts? Absolutely. I'm not breaking any news here. I'm not breaking any news. Is it foolish to sit here and think that every other option, the grass is greener because the guy has a more high volume passing? Come on. Come on. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that for a single second. It's just not a good line of thinking. It's not a logical, good line of thinking. At least to me, it's not. Original says, don't be an AJ is going to become a new friend. That's JD3. Everything is apparently better if we just move on from Jalen Hurts. That's apparently the end-all, be-all fix for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's like AJ Brown. Oh, I need an offense. I need a new quarterback. I need that. Shut the fuck up, guy. You got 5,000 yards in the last 4 years. Literally, shut up. You're the fourth highest receiver in the last 4 years. Take it up with Saquon Barkley if you want to, whimper and moan. Holy shit. Here's Twiz. What up, Twiz? Carter couldn't work out because of his shoulders. That man's a beast. Let Howie deal with the contract. Twiz, I'm with you. I'm in the camp of giving him the deal, man. We've all seen what that guy can do. Doesn't mean it's perfect, no. But look, there's a trend. Guys, isn't there a trend? News flash, everybody. Listen up. No player is perfect. No coach is perfect. No quarterback is perfect. No receiver is perfect. No defensive tackle is perfect. All right? There's give and take. There's pros and cons to every move, to every player, to every contract, to everything you do. When you have a great player, I don't think you let him walk. But, I'm not the damn GM. I'm not the damn GM. If I was, we might be going to the Super Bowl every fucking year. Dan, this is a great question, and I think a very relevant one when it comes to the quarterback. Dan says this, Zander, are you working under the assumption that Jalen will be a runner again next year? Dan, to answer your question, I don't really have an answer. I don't know. I don't know as much as the next person. But Dan, I'll remind you, I don't know if you were a listener at the start of the offseason. One of my number one questions for the offseason was does Jalen run again, or is life in Philly with the offense now no longer with the dual threat quarterback? Because that to me changes a lot of analysis. It does. I mean, if he's not going to run, then it's a different player, it's a different offense, it's a different team, and you're going to have to build that differently versus if you did have a dual threat quarterback. I mean, remember, guys, Jalen Hurts was damn near MVP of the league when he was fucking torching people with the legs. Remember, we started off the year last year 4-0. What did Jalen Hurts do more in those first 4 games than he did for the rest of the year? He ran the football. We arguably won in week 1 versus the Cowboys simply because of Jalen Hurts' legs. I mean, literally. So I think Dan brings up a really good point here. I mean, I just said what I said about the grass isn't always greener, but that doesn't mean we don't take into the proper variables to the discussion. If Jalen doesn't run anymore, it is a different discussion, and I will fully admit that. Z, Barkley has an out in 27. You think they trade and release him next year? Pietas, I hate to say this, and people aren't going to want to hear this, but yeah, I do. I think this might be the last year for Barkley in Philly. Now, I know people don't want to hear that, and that might be hard to fathom at this point, but I mean, guys, remember before they paid Saquon, the talk of Philly was basically, we don't pay running backs. We draft guys in the second, third, fourth, fifth round, i.e. Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, and we let them play for cheap on a rookie deal, and then we get a new one. We don't pay running backs. Well, now we've paid a running back max money. Highest paid running back in the league still is Saquon Barkley, and he's going to be 29. I think he'll be 30 after the year, no? He's 29. He'll be 30 right when the season ends. February 9th is his birthday. So he'll be 30 right when the season ends. So in an off season where Saquon Barkley is 30 years old, do the Eagles continue to do that with an out? I don't think so. I think they move on, and especially Pietas, if the out is as simple as we might think. He says, Barkley without Lane is Saquon Barkley from that dog show. Come on, man. JSN, $42 million. Bye-bye Super Bowl. Yeah, that's a big contract for him. I like Camilla's plan. Build back longer. By the way, what's up with the chat today? Guys, can you all shut the fuck up, every one of you? Mayan, Daz, JH, all you grandstanders, stop acting like you got to tell everybody what to think, what to believe, how to believe, what they believe is true or not true. Just shut up. All right? Everybody is their own individual. Everybody has their own thought processes. Everybody is entitled to believe whatever the fuck they want to believe. Quit bitching about it in a YouTube chat on an Eagle show. Holy shit. The chat was insufferable today. Daz, I love you. Mayan, I love you. JH, I don't know if I've ever seen you, but I love you. Holy shit. Golly. Prince, thanks for the super, brother. Appreciate you, Prince. Prince says this. They don't see it, Zander. LL. I wasn't a fan of Jalen Hurts. Yes, he frustrated me at times, but I see the guy at times carry this team when others fail, especially when they need to step up. I agree 100%, Prince. I agree 100%. All right. Prince, it's kind of hard to ride the truth sometimes, isn't it? You got everybody who either thinks he's the greatest fucking quarterback to ever grace the league, and you have other people who think he sucks. The reality is neither of them are right. Jalen does a lot well. We've been a very successful football team with him at the quarterback. We've also been to 2 Super Bowls. So it's like everybody who creates this world that like the Eagles would be better if they just replaced the quarterback. It's like, all right, just like I said to A.J. Brown, how much greener do you expect the grass to get? I'll ask every Eagle fan who wants a new quarterback, how much greener do you expect the grass to get? How much? 5 straight years of playoffs, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 2 NFC championships, more than we won with what? How many years of Donovan McNabb? 13? How many years did Donovan McNabb play in Philly? So how much greener is the expectation for the other side? I don't think it's going to be that great. So just be careful what you wish for. Michael says too much profanity today. Sorry, Michael, I'm fired up. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. WAB, what's up, brother? Says, how does a Jomo factor in here? If we lose him next season and JC doesn't perform it or is injured, that's an oops. Negotiate, but consider all factors. This can get done within next year with more info. WAB, you actually bring up a great point here because John floated this out there, all right? And I don't think anybody's going to sit here and say Moro Jomo is better than Jaylen Carter. I think that's obviously not even a real discussion in anybody's brain. But WAB, do you think Carter and Davis at collectively $70 million, $65 million. Let's call Jaylen Carter 40, Jordan Davis 26. Call it $70 million, $65 million. Would you rather have that or have Jordan Davis or Ojomo at $25 million and whatever you'd get back for Jaylen Carter in a trade? Maybe it's 1 first-round pick and a second. Maybe it's 2 first-round picks. Maybe it's a first and a third. Whatever you think it might be. Is that more enticing to you? Does that put the Eagles in a better position to succeed with that as opposed to playing the 2 players and letting Ojomo walk and not getting any draft capital? That's the question. It's a fair question. It's a fair point. Can y'all STFU is crazy? Sometimes you got to tell the people to shut up. Here's original Philly. Jalen should be appreciated after having those Wentz years. He was the things people thought a QB should be. Tall, strong arm, kind of mobile. He was gunslinging so hard. We led the league in drops. That's true, Original. It's a good point. You know? Again, Original, like I just said a little bit ago, there's not a player. There's not a quarterback. There's not a coach. There's not a receiver. There's not a lineman. There's not a defensive tackle in the league, in the world. That's perfect. Perfect point with Wentz. Oh, he's got the arm. Well, he didn't have a bunch of other shit. He didn't have the mentality needed. He didn't have the right approach. He didn't have the right leadership. There's give and take. That's life, folks. WAB says, I think Eagles management needs to answer that. You're right. You are right about that, my friend. We'll see what they do. All right. Fleming says, Greener is someone who sees the middle of the field, can read a defense, and gets to a second read. Well, Fleming, I don't disagree with that, but does that ensure the level of success that the Eagles have had? I don't think it does, and I think you'd be smart enough to know that too, Fleming. Could the offense look prettier? Sure. Could Jeffrey Lurie not have a stink face on anytime they pan him in the box? Sure. They could. Does that equal the level of success that the team, not the offense, the team has achieved? I don't know the answer. Maybe it does. But all things considered, looking at the history of the game, the history of the team, looking at all the other teams in the NFL, looking at the entire NFL landscape, there's not many that have been as successful as the Eagles with Jalen Hurts as their quarterback. Now, that doesn't mean it's all Jalen Hurts. That's not what I'm saying. But Michael says, all good. My bad, Michael. I'm sorry for cursing, bro. I know. Sometimes I got a foul ass mouth. I really do. Sometimes I can curse like there's no tomorrow. Like what do they call it? Like a drunken sailor? Like a drunken sailor? I know you guys don't like when I'm a drunken sailor. Some people want me to curse. Some people don't want me to curse. So I just do what I do. Sometimes I curse more than others. You know, if I'm not in a good mood, I'll curse a lot. Park says, Z, if you look at the film, AJ was not beating his one-on-ones. I know, Park. I brought this up to John. He did not want to hear it. John McMullen did not want to hear me discussing if AJ Brown is actually a descending player and trading him for a 1 right now makes sense. John didn't want to hear that conversation. We had a debate on it last week. He says that if you think we are the damn PPA. All right, this is hilarious. I have a classic story on this. All right, so you guys remember when I went rage mode on the PPA because I got all the damn parking tickets from Broad Street. I got boot and toes. I got, all these different things. You can see I wrote paid on it. I paid it. All right. So I get an email, right? I get an email on Friday. And I'm like, what is this? Let me pull the email up so I can be accurate here. I get an email on Friday. Where is this damn email? No, not that. All right. I get an email on Friday, right? And it says this. It says this. Zander, I saw that you are opposed to speed cameras and other Philly anti-driving items. If you would like to talk about all this, write back. Thanks, Jim. I said, hi, Jim. Who are you? Jim responds to me. I'm not going to tell you his identity. I am, whatever, a pro-driving activist in Pennsylvania. I used to do things to support a national driving group also. I was running a search online and I got hit with something saying you are mad as hell with speed cameras or something. I can't play my video with sound right now. I have various info I can send. I can put you in touch with people. I can talk about stuff myself or get polished people who do these things all the time. Philly and PA are doing a ton of anti-driving things, so you may not even know all of them. It's all a joke and a racket to get money. I am here for whatever you may want. So I respond to him, interesting, Jim. Let me know whatever info you got. And then I get another email, a guy named Thomas. All right? And he gives me everything. He gives me his information, his email. He lives in Berwyn. All right, sends me this email. So I don't know if they have like a committee or something that's fighting these things in Pennsylvania, but apparently they must have done a YouTube search. My AI posted a video of my rant on the Clips channel, of me ripping out about the of the cameras. And then I get an answer. I don't know if they sent my video around or what. Thomas emails me, Dear Zander, I love your camera rant. I've been fighting red light cameras since 2005. Back then, the legislature was bribed by the camera companies to run a pilot RLC project on the boulevard. Pilot hell. From the beginning, they wanted cameras bad, and the RLC were under the nose, were the nose under the tent for cameras of all kinds everywhere. RLC increased accidents, injuries, and deaths. We have all the data to prove it. The Philadelphia Police Department found twice that the cameras were causing accidents. The PPD does not get any money from the cameras. Now, he sent me this long-ass email, but it's pretty funny. By the way, if you remember in my rage about the PPA, about the cameras, I said it's not the Philadelphia Police. They don't even get $1 from it. I said this because I knew it. It's all the city council. It's all the bullshit committees that get involved in the city, and they want to make more money from this constituents. That's all they want. They don't want to fix the roads. They don't want to do anything to improve the quality of life for the people who pay taxes to the city. They just want to make rackets to collect more from you. What a effing joke. But again, I thought it was hilarious that I'm getting emails about my parking authority rants. I thought that was so damn funny. Thomas and Jim, thanks for the emails. Zander, you're in 180. Whatever, dude. I don't care. You're going to have to live with it. You're going to have to live with it. You're going to have to live with it. I'm 2 seconds away. Keith, I already am. I'm out. I'm rolling out. 1 year out of here, and then I'm probably within the next 2 years, I'm dipping, I think. I don't know yet where, but I don't know. I don't know. I do love it here, though. It's where I grew up. I love it. I love it outside the city. I love it inside the city. Florida sounds nice, though, doesn't it? Low taxes. New Jersey's an absolute catastrophe. I mean, New Jersey is literally horrid. Anybody seen the data on New Jersey? PA, you think PA's bad, Bird Gang? You should see New Jersey. State by state tax rate comparison. New Jersey, 9%. Top sales tax up there, 6.625. I mean, they are second worst in the entire country to New York City. They're worse than New York State. They're second to New York City. I mean, it's a joke. How do I justify living here? How do I justify over a course of 10, 20-year period? You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars going to the government, and they don't do squat with it. As much as Secunda wants to give all our dollars to the government, what do, Secunda? What do they do? Do they do anything good? Is there a single thing done with the tax dollars that are good? I don't know. I don't see anything. Let me get off this topic. It's like politics and religion that you guys had going on in the chat today. But all right, I'm out of here. I'm out of here, folks. Yeah, right. Steal our money and launch other wars in other countries, right? Yeah, great. I think we all love that, right? Nothing like it. Yeah, let's see a bunch of fatalities across the world. Yeah, everybody loves that. Geez. Yeah, well, can't wait to pay my taxes this year. We're gonna launch another war. How great! Ridiculous. Literally ridiculous. Don't even get me started. I don't want to go there. Okay? I don't even want to talk about it. All right. Look at Fritz. Zander, who's giving you problems, bro? I can take care of it. Fritz, all good, bro. All good. I'm just raging. You know, what's that old band? Rage Against the Machine. That's me right now. I sound like an old 80s hippie. I sound like an 80s hippie right now, don't I? All right. All right. Love all you guys. Hit that like button. Appreciate you being here today. Good conversations across the program. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not already. Clips channel's humming. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Up to 200K views in just March. 280 in the last 28 days. How about that? How about that on the Clips channel alone? So big thanks to all you guys. Well over 1 million views across all the platforms, across all the YouTube channels. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate for being here. See you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagles.